Chapter 821. Stepping into the Heavenly Tao Silence. Pression. Dust swirled in the sky, all the great cultivators were frozen in place, fearfully watching the mysterious figure in the darkness, feeling a danger more terrifying than death approaching. Zhuang Xian struggled to control his body, but unfortunately he couldn't do it at all. Looking at the mysterious figure inside the black gate, his fear had been suppressed, replaced by anger. Wisps of aura leaked from his body, transforming into golden energy, gradually forming the shape of the Supreme Tao Mixed Yuan plate behind him, not as massive as during his battle with Lin Songhai, but still exuding an unshakable momentum. With the appearance of the Supreme Tao Mixed Yuan plate, Zhuang Xian was delighted to find he had regained some strength and could control his body. Instinctively he wanted to step forward, but a hand suddenly pressed on his shoulder, pulling him back. The sudden yank made his heart jump wildly, and he instinctively turned his head to look, his eyes widening, filled with surprise. "Ancestor!" Zhuang Xian instinctively uttered. Hearing this, and Zizai standing at the front felt a surge of spirit. And Zizai, unable to look back, felt all pressure in his heart vanish upon knowing the ancestor had arrived, looking once more towards the mysterious figure within the black gate, filled with anticipation. Guan, clad in white, stood beside Zhuang Xian, his left hand resting on Zhuang Xian's right shoulder, the wind and waves between heaven and earth blowing his black hair, his extraordinarily handsome face calm. "Ancestor, you are here." Zhuang Xian, barely suppressing his excitement, raised his hand to salute Guan. Guan looked at the black gate and said, "Choices and separations are experiences everyone undergoes. Are you truly ready?" Zhuang Xian's face turned serious, saying, "I have long been ready." He then looked forward, suddenly realizing something amiss. Everyone was staring at the black gate, apart from himself and Zizai. No one seemed to notice Guan's arrival. Plenty of people saw Lin Songhai, yet after only glancing at Guan twice, he closed his eyes, his breaths weak, teetering on the edge of slumber. Zhuang Xian scanned around, his heart stirring with a storm, only now realizing that though the ancestor stood by his side, if not gazing upon the ancestor, one couldn't sense his presence at all. The immortal gods and great cultivators' attention was entirely on the black gate, oblivious to the ancestor's advent. Zhuang Xian couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. Within the beginningless, every disciple knew the ancestor was the mightiest, surpassing even the immortal gods, yet none could definitively describe his strength. Cultivating the Supreme Tao Mixed Yuan plate had allowed Zhuang Xian to perceive the ancestor's unfathomable depths. Now he was suddenly curious about the strength of the ancestor's Supreme Tao Mixed Yuan plate. At this moment, the mysterious figure within the black gate lifted its right leg, ready to step out. Infinite Divine Spirit, Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm Perfection 0/0/0. Guan performed lifespan detection on the mysterious figure. Noticing it had no lifespan, his interest waned significantly. The Infinite Divine Spirit, from Eternal Tao Extreme, represented a great Tao force. Previously, Emperor Jiuyin from Eternal Tao Extreme sought to capture Lu Qiuxian, causing Guan to begin focusing on this force. Though Eternal Tao Extreme hailed from chaos, they could infiltrate all heavens and myriad realms through the Great Tao River. Over the long years, Lin Songhai was not alone in being beguiled. Many others were like him, some captured by the Celestial Court, others stepping into the Eternal Light Gate, detaching from the Heavenly Tao. The reason this infinite divine spirit dared to manifest in the Celestial Spirit Great World was due to the Celestial Court being occupied with combating the Dark Heavenly Court. Moreover, his target wasn't Lin Kanghai's rescue. He aimed at Tai Immortal Monarch and the 72 Immortals of Jin Dong. Eternal Tao Extreme not only enjoyed recruiting gifted beings bound by destiny of Heavenly Tao but also loved capturing the Celestial Court Immortals. The Infinite Divine Spirit, although a being of Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm Perfection, bore a power not inherent to him, temporarily granting him strength comparable to Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal. He hadn't truly entered the Heavenly Tao yet, only by stepping through the Black Gate would he be considered fully inside. Even without fully entering, his oppressive force already immobilized the immortal gods and great cultivators. Tai Immortal Monarch hovered in the air, watching the Infinite Divine Spirit step forward, a grim expression on his face, suddenly realizing the other was not here to rescue Lin Songhai, but to confront him. He could perceive an utterly venomous divine sense scrutinizing him. This reminded him of some rumors he heard in the Celestial Court. The other must hail from chaos. CTH Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Impossible. Must self-destruct. Immortal gods can resurrect after death, but if captured and taken away, the consequences would be unimaginable. Tai, immortal monarch, wanted to self-destruct, but he couldn't, unable to mobilize celestial Tao destiny, unable to wield his own mana. Watching the infinite divine spirit step 1 foot out of the black gate, he grew increasingly anxious. Not just him, but the 72 immortals of Jin Dong also felt the malevolent divine sense probing, which heightened their tension. Meanwhile, more great cultivators hurried over, without exception. Once approaching the 100-mile radius around the black gate, all lost control over their bodies. Moreover, they were descending. With the infinite divine spirit stepping into the heavenly Tao, everyone felt as if their souls were being tread upon. Zhuang Xian and Zizai's attention was also drawn to the movements of the infinite divine spirit. After his right foot stepped out of the black gate, the infinite divine spirit lifted his left foot. These 2 steps seemed so prolonged, causing everyone torment. When the infinite divine spirit stepped out of the black gate, his true body still hadn't been revealed, remaining so pitch black, merely flames igniting around him, distorting the surrounding space. As the flames dissipated, the oppression on everyone constantly heightened. Suddenly, the infinite divine spirit looked down, glancing towards the direction facing him, precisely where Guan and Zhuang Xian were. Those with their backs to Guan couldn't turn, yet those ahead of him among the great cultivators followed the infinite divine spirit's gesture and spotted Guan. They couldn't see Guan's true visage, only seeing a white-clad man, his face blurred. The infinite divine spirit murmured in doubt, clearly surprised by Guan's existence. Before crossing the black gate, he couldn't perceive Guan's presence. The reason for his slow movements was to sweep through the celestial spirit great world, determining it was free of danger before stepping in. Upon entry, he sensed a new presence in this great thousand world, and all the world's cause and effect altered, with obscure regions everywhere making it unseeable. Unable to discern Guan's cultivation level, he dared not advance further. And Zizai, Zhuang Xian watched the infinite divine spirit focus on their direction, breath held tight, exceedingly nervous. Just seeing the infinite divine spirit stand in the air induced terror. Difficult to imagine the dreadful power contained within this figure. Who are you? You lack celestial court destiny. The infinite divine spirit's voice sounded again, cold in tone, hoarse and chilling. Upon hearing this, the previously tense Tai immortal monarch and 72 immortals seemed to realize something. All felt relieved and revealed mocking smiles, watching the infinite divine spirit like vermin. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 822. Myth appears. The question from the infinite divine spirit made the eyes of the great cultivators, who were immobilized, sparkle. Although many among them could not turn their heads to look at Guan, judging from the words of the infinite divine spirit, it seemed that a mysterious powerful figure had arrived. In any case, the presence of the infinite divine spirit made them feel extremely dangerous. If such an existence met its match, they would have a slim chance of survival. Zhuang Xian's heart raced, nervously waiting for the ensuing battle. After a brief moment of unease, and Zizai's mindset returned to calm. He was initially nervous because of the instinctive reaction to the power of the infinite divine spirit. After calming down, he believed the infinite divine spirit was doomed. No one is a match for the ancestor. His gaze, although not as aggressive as that of Tai immortal monarch and other immortal gods, still made the infinite divine spirit uncomfortable. Did these ants think he would die? The infinite divine spirit thought displeased. Seeing Guan not responding, he immediately took a step back. However, an invisible barrier at the black gate blocked his steps, preventing him from entering. He was separated by just one door, yet he couldn't cross it, completely trapped within the heavenly Tao. The infinite divine spirit was greatly alarmed. Without a word, he leaped up, unleashing terrifying mana that plunged the entire celestial spirit great world into darkness. Everyone was startled by the sudden change, and at that moment, Guan raised his hand and grabbed across the void, making the dark celestial vault suddenly brighten. Lin Songhai, who was floating in the air, fell to the ground, and the black gate turned into black mist, vanishing without a trace. The terrible pressure enveloping the world disappeared, and everyone felt as if they had landed, regaining control of their physical bodies. The light and darkness changes just now made everyone a bit dazed. At a glance, the figure of the infinite divine spirit was already gone. And Zizai and Zhuang Xian completely returned to their senses, vigilantly scanning the world in all directions. Ancestor, watch out, he might pull a trick. Zhuang Xian, while searching for the infinite divine spirit, turned around. When his gaze landed on Guan, he froze completely. He saw Guan standing still, raising his right hand. In the palm of his right hand was a small black figure, struggling as if it wanted to escape his palm, but it was blocked by an invisible barrier and couldn't escape at all. The figure. Zhuang Xian recognized the identity of the small figure. His eyes were fixed in astonishment. And Zizai, hearing Zhuang Xian's half-finished words, instinctively turned around. When he saw the infinite divine spirit in Guan's hand, he too was stunned. The divine senses of Tai Immortal Monarch and the 72 immortals of Jin Dong scanned faster, confirming that the infinite divine spirit had disappeared. They then looked at Guan and, like in Zizai and Zhuang Xian, were stunned. The world was silent, and more people noticed the abnormality of the immortal gods. They followed the gaze of the immortal gods, and with their vision even 100 miles away, they could see the infinite divine spirit in Guan's hand. The sight was unforgettable for them. The great cultivators from various sects stared at the infinite divine spirit captured by Guan, all wide-eyed, even gasping in disbelief. Lin Songhai, who had fallen into the ruins, struggled to get up. From his position he had a clear view of Zhuang Xian. His gaze was equally drawn to Guan. Even though he had lost his chi power and his senses were blurred, he could still barely see Guan's hand clearly. His eyes widened suddenly, his whole body trembling, unable to believe what he saw. How could this be? Lin Songhai trembled all over. The aura of the infinite divine spirit was so powerful before, even the immortal gods were suppressed. How could it be captured by someone? At this moment his faith crumbled. Before this, the eternal path was his pursuit, his hope of surviving in a chaotic world. He believed the eternal path was stronger than the heavenly Tao, that eternity was the most meaningful pursuit. He never imagined the deity of the eternal path would fall, and without any resistance. Kneeling in the ruins, his whole being seemed to have been drained of his soul. Guan stood in place, letting all the great cultivators witness this scene. He wanted the world to know that the eternal Tao Extreme was nothing more than this. The reason for doing this was because the eternal Tao Extreme would not give up and would later delude people. See Tich Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Seeing the previously invincible infinite divine spirit struggling in the hands of that mysterious white-robed man, everyone felt absurd and unbelievable. After the intense visual impact, unlimited curiosity surged in their hearts. Who is this person? Some great cultivators who knew of Zizai became excited, thinking of a mythical figure. Guan stood in place for a while, then retracted his right hand and disappeared from there. As soon as he left, everyone's emotions were completely released. Hiss, is it over just like that? If it weren't for the earlier suppression, I would have thought it was an illusion. So strong myths are true after all? Indeed, when the world faces peril, that being will take action. He doesn't enjoy worldly power, hiding to cultivate. This is a true immortal god. The world owes Wuxia one more debt of gratitude. If that demon had acted just now, it might have turned the celestial spirit great world to dust in an instant. The great cultivators were in heated discussions, and those unfamiliar with Guan's identity understood as well, feeling a brand new emotion surge within. The myths of Wuxia they had heard countless times. Ancestor Master Wuxia was an incredibly distant presence in their hearts. Hearing these wonderful stories again, they would be excited, but after a while they became numb. Now, when people mentioned Ancestor Master Wuxia, their feelings did not change because they had never seen Ancestor Master Wuxia and did not know how strong he really was. Now, witnessing Ancestor Master Wuxia easily suppress the infinite divine spirit, they felt shock. After the shock came a long-lost sense of excitement, probably even worship. Zhuang Xian listened to the uproar from all directions and returned to clarity, turning to look at Lin Songhai. He saw Lin Songhai standing lifelessly on the ruins, immediately flashing beside him. Hand over that demon artifact. Zhuang Xian said with a complicated expression, drawing a treasure sword from behind him. Lin Songhai, with a dull expression, raised his right arm. A black flag flew out of his sleeve, which Zhuang Xian caught. Zhuang Xian scanned the black flag with his divine sense, confirming that the souls were still inside, and breathed a sigh of relief. We were once old acquaintances, your mistakes cannot be forgiven. The Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance won't let you go, nor will the aristocratic families and sects behind these souls. I'll end it personally for you to suffer less. I hope you won't walk this path again in your next life. Zhuang Xian spoke, raising the sword in hand, ready to slay Lin Songhai. Lin Songhai didn't raise his head or avoid it, his face full of desolation. Suddenly, a hand grabbed Zhuang Xian's wrist, making it impossible for him to bring the sword down. He turned to see it was Zizai who intervened. "Ancestor, what are you doing?" Zhuang Xian asked with a frown. And Zizai looked at him and said, "I want to take him back to Wuxia." Zhuang Xian said in a deep voice, "If you take him back to Wuxia, how will the world view our Wuxia? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 823. The so-called Eternity. Zhuang Xian and Zizai confronted each other. Such a scene had occurred many times over the years. This time Zizai was not as angry, he was very calm. His misdeed is indeed serious, but his connection with the evil demon just now is worth exploring. Killing him outright would be too regrettable. Sir, the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. And Zizai spoke earnestly. Zhuang Xian listened, his brows furrowed but did not relent. Zhuang Xian stared at Zizai and asked, "Ancestor, how do you intend to deal with him?" And Zizai's expression softened and he said, "Killing him is easy, correcting his mistakes is hard. He will face the punishment he deserves." Hearing this, Zhuang Xian hesitated for a moment before finally withdrawing his sword. And Zizai waved his sleeve, collecting Lin Songhai into its folds. Tai Immortal Monarch and the 72 Immortals of Jin Dong quietly departed, while other sects' great cultivators approached, hoping to converse with Zizai. Elsewhere, Guan had already returned to the Taoist field of the beginningless. He went to his usual secluded bamboo grove, sat on the steps in front of the pavilion, and turned his right hand upward, revealing the infinite divine spirit to the sunlight. At this moment the infinite divine spirit was no longer struggling. It curled up as if in slumber. Guan began a soul search, using the infinite divine spirit to understand the eternal Tao extreme. When confronting Emperor Jiuyin before, Guan also tried to soul search, but as soon as he attempted, the eternal Tao extreme used destiny to annihilate Emperor Jiyin's soul. This time, Guan had broken through the great realm and reached the perfection realm as the supreme emperor of ultimate merging Tao. His strength had transformed profoundly. Before the soul search, he used his power of cause and effect to isolate himself. It wasn't just his power of cause and effect, the strength of the dojo was also present. Without any mishap, he forcibly penetrated the infinite divine spirit's soul, madly searching its memories, and many memories about the eternal Tao extreme flooded into his mind. After a few breaths, Guan had already captured all the memories of the infinite divine spirit. He clenched his right hand, scattering the infinite divine spirit's soul. However, this was not the real body of the infinite divine spirit. To be precise, the eternal Tao extreme's destiny could revive it. Through the infinite divine spirit's memory, Guan's impression of the eternal Tao extreme deteriorated significantly. Unlike the dark heavenly court, which was expelled, the eternal Tao extreme inherently did not belong to the heavenly Tao. They greedily sought to devour everything of the heavenly Tao. Most beings who joined the eternal Tao extreme ended up worse than death, with only a scant few capable of becoming eternal divine spirits. The gods of the eternal Tao extreme would refine the souls of heavenly Tao beings, merging them into their destiny, thus enhancing the resistance of the eternal Tao extreme destiny against the celestial Tao destiny. The eternal Tao extreme itself possessed countless gods, which were fundamental to their foundation. Long ago, the eternal Tao extreme invaded the heavenly Tao, where the celestial emperor's great might slayed most of them. Since then, they dared not attack the celestial court again, yet the celestial emperor's strength filled them with longing for the heavenly Tao. These eternal divine spirits seduced the beings of the heavenly Tao through the great Tao river. Their methods for Lin Songhai were relatively gentle, yet many were forcibly abducted like Lu Qiuxian. The infinite divine spirit slaughtered countless beings of the heavenly Tao, consuming their cultivation levels, seizing their destiny, and even refining their souls into eternal treasures. Lin Kenghai's capture of many celestial and earthly immortal souls was at its behest. Guan then took out the fate pen and infinite sword book. Holding the book in one hand and the pen in the other, he wrote the 4 characters of infinite divine spirit on the infinite sword book and then erased them with a stroke. 2 breaths later. You successfully seized the infinite divine spirit, Miaojin Daluo immortal realm perfection. 82,387,201,666. Guan's lips curled upward, humming lightly. So-called eternity seems to be just a bluff. As long as there is lifespan, it is not eternal. The fate pen and the infinite sword book are Guan's life-bound magical treasures, refined through the way of cause and effect, strengthening as his cultivation grows, living and dying together. They represent the strongest power of the Supreme Emperor of Ultimate Merging Tao, so much so that even the destiny of the Eternal Tao Extreme cannot completely isolate them, crossing countless light years and planes to slay enemies outside the Great Tao. After completing all this, Guan put the two life-bound magical treasures into his body, then lay on the steps to start a nap. During his nap, he used his own Tao intent to create an illusory scene of the Eternal Tao Extreme, immersively experiencing the Eternal Tao Extreme. From the current information, the Eternal Tao Extreme might not be stronger than the Dark Heavenly Court, only that their destiny is more ancient. Of course, most importantly, neither force is comparable to the Celestial Court, allowing Guan to continue living under the Celestial Court's protection. It's worth mentioning that the Eternal Tao Extreme and Dark Heavenly Court are also in hostile relations. The Eternal Tao Extreme once attempted to devour the Dark Heavenly Court but failed, leaving an irreconcilable hatred between the two. It is no exaggeration to say the Dark Heavenly Court almost fell before the Eternal Tao Extreme, yet the resilience of the Dark Heavenly Court made the Eternal Tao Extreme longs for Heavenly Tao power even more. Guan suddenly had an idea. Could there be saints deep within chaos? Ancestor Master Wuxia saves the world. This news quickly spread across the land, with the pressure of the infinite divine spirit enveloping both within and beyond the heavens, making all living beings uneasy. Although the infinite divine spirit was never seen in person, the fear was real. Upon hearing that Ancestor Master Wuxia had eradicated the evil demon, all beings in the world sighed in relief. For most beings, the world had been peaceful for too long, and the occurrence of any catastrophe was understandable. This event also unearthed many myths about Wuxia, with more and more cultivators wanting to join the Wuxia sect. Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, Su Mansion. In a courtyard, young Su Han wielded his sword, condensing sword intent, while glancing at Zhen Qin meditating atop the courtyard wall. Zhen Qin wore a hooded purple robe, appearing mysterious. The half of her face exposed was fair and her lips like flowers, evoking fantasies. Master, have you heard of Wuxia? No, have you been there? Su Han asked, his face full of curiosity. From early morning, the mansion was filled with rumors about Wuxia. After inquiring, he felt his blood boil. It was the first time he learned that such immortals existed in the world and such a holy land secretly protected all living beings. This is truly the people of immortal cultivation. Zhen Qin calmly replied, heard of it, never been. Master, how do you view Ancestor Master Wuxia? Do you think those rumors are true? Su Han pursued. He held great respect for Zhen Qin, and his grandfather also respected her, making him ever curious about Zhen Qin's origins. Unfortunately, Zhen Qin did not say, nor did his grandfather want to reveal. Because she is so mysterious, he always felt Zhen Qin was a renowned great cultivator incognito. Many storybooks contain such characters, suggesting he is the protagonist, attracting such a great cultivator to support him, or so he thought. Ancestor Master Wuxia saved the world more than once. He is the only being worthy of the title immortal in the world, even true immortal gods cannot compare. Those rumors hardly depict his greatness and strength. Zhen Qin's response made Su Han's eyes widen, rendering him more excited. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 824. Reincarnation Battle. Master, do you hold the Ancestor Master Wuxia in high regard? Su Han inquired further, his concentrated sword intent slightly unstable, with threads of sword chi dissipating outwards. But he didn't mind, his attention was already on his master. Zhen Qin responded, everyone in this world dares to respect him, and any words of praise are not enough. It was the first time Su Han had heard his master speak so effusively about someone, which made him imagine more about the Ancestor Master Wuxia. Master, can you tell me the myths about Wuxia that you've heard? How about something I haven't heard before? I've heard that the Ancestor Master Wuxia was born before the opening of heaven and earth. Was he human or a demon? Also, how many disciples does Wuxia have? It's said that a fourth-generation disciple of Wuxia is coming to visit the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. The person hasn't even arrived and the preparations have already begun. Su Han's endless questions left Zhen Qin no opportunity to respond. Once he finished his questions in one breath, he looked at Zhen Qin with anticipation. Zhen Qin slightly raised her head, revealing a pair of cool and beautiful eyes from under her hat, and glanced at Su Han, saying, consolidate your sword intent first, then ask these questions. I can tell you what the world doesn't know about Wuxia. Upon hearing this, Su Han became instantly excited and quickly promised that he would definitely succeed. Then Zhen Qin closed her eyes and continued her practice, while Su Han also began to focus on solidifying his sword intent. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Boom, a surge of sword intent erupted from the courtyard, scattering the clouds in the sky and startling the birds in the forest. Holding his sword, Su Han's robe flapped in the wind, and his long hair fluttered as well. He looked at the silver glow of sword intent on the blade, displaying a proud and excited smile. He turned to look at Zhen Qin, who was meditating on the courtyard wall, and said, "Master, I did it. You can't forget what you promised me." This situation was not unique to the Su mansion. Countless young cultivators across the world were infatuated with and obsessed with the ancestor Master Wuxia. They wanted to learn about Wuxia and join him. Since that battle, whenever a disciple of Wuxia went out to train, they would receive grand treatment everywhere. And within the Taoist field of the beginningless, the disciples were equally excited and proud, though they couldn't see Guan. On this day, Zizai came to the bamboo grove to meet Guan ancestor. "How should we deal with Lin Songhai?" After saluting, Zizai respectfully asked. The reason he wanted to remove Lin Songhai was mainly for Zhuang Xian's sake. He feared that Lin Kenghai's death would become a thorn in Zhuang Xian's heart. If Zhuang Xian later realized that his path was not absolutely correct, would he be filled with regrets? He was afraid that Zhuang Xian might become a calamity as Guan had described. If such a situation arose, he wouldn't know how to face Guan or how to handle Zhuang Xian. When he saw Lin Songhai, Zizai realized that he wasn't as powerful as he imagined and had vulnerabilities too. While carving a wood sculpture, Guan casually said, "Kill him, throw him into reincarnation, allow him to accumulate 1,000 lifetimes of good deeds, and then give him a chance to turn back." Upon hearing this, Zizai breathed a sigh of relief. It sounded harsh, but for a cultivator, if one could regain one's memories, it wouldn't count as true death. Reincarnation was terrifying. Without the help of a great power, once thrown into reincarnation, one would inevitably have all past causes and effects erased until becoming a new being. From a worldly perspective, dying in this life would end the causes and effects of this life. No one would chase an enemy into the next life, nor could they find them. Zizai further asked, "Ancestor, do you need to interrogate him?" Guan waved his hand, indicating he could leave. Zizai secretly wondered if the ancestor already knew about the outer heaven power behind Lin Songhai. Indeed, the higher the cultivation level, the more one sees. The ancestor didn't need to interrogate. A glance could reveal all illusions. Zizai saluted, then turned and left. Guan continued focusing on his task at hand. To him, Lin Songhai was just an inconsequential person. The reason he was giving Lin Songhai a chance was that Lin Songhai had indeed saved countless mortal spirits. In the eyes of mortal spirits, Lin Songhai might be a saint. The immortal cultivation realm also had distinctions of good and evil, but if everyone were dealt with strictly by standards of good and evil, the world would be in chaos. Transcendence had fewer constraints than mortal spirits, so naturally the standards of good and evil couldn't be the same. Sir, the novel, Ft. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Guan was born immortal and, regardless of what others thought, preferred rules that leaned toward the mortal spirit's way. Even Zhuang Xian has become less interesting. I wonder when the next disciple that piques my interest will appear. Guan muttered to himself. He was willing to teach Zhuang Xian not only because of LV Beishan sake but also because he found the young man's peculiar temperament interesting. He continued carving while glancing towards outer heaven. Su Ling, who had received the inheritance of the heaven-splitting axe, was currently training in outer heaven. He delved into the depths of the universe, an area once called the Silent Extinction Domain, where danger and opportunity coexisted. Within the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, Su Ling was already a prestigious figure. But in outer heaven no one would pamper him. If an opportunity arose, anyone would compete for it. At the moment, Su Ling was besieged by a group of cultivators of the same realm. Relying on the heaven-splitting divine axe, he held his ground and grew increasingly vigorous in battle. Guan could tell that Su Ling's strength wasn't on the same level as those opponents, but Su Ling hadn't resorted to lethal force. He was enjoying the fight, wanting to intimidate the enemies into fleeing. Though more free-spirited and smooth than Zhuang Xian, he's not as decisive in slaying. Guan mused to himself, then turned his gaze to those old acquaintances. Leia had recently encountered an opportunity to ascend to immortality, but he was hesitating on whether to do so. Tian Hao had obtained the Celestial Emperor's inheritance and had been in seclusion in the misty immortal court, advancing rapidly in cultivation. Zhang Buku was training with Su Yu in the celestial extreme nine heavens, having received a great divine power from the nine heavens immortal emperor, blessed with considerable fuyuan. Zhu Shi was still in the Taiwei Great World, yet she wasn't burdened by power, devoting most of her energy to her own cultivation. Guan also looked towards the celestial court. Both Yang Jian and Li Xuanmiao were doing quite well. They continually earned merits in battles against the dark heavenly court, enhancing their celestial Tao destiny. And then there was the progeny of his reincarnation body, the celestial destruction god. Regarding the celestial destruction god, Guan had no intention of acknowledging him. Still, since the origins of the Long family's cause and effect were linked to him, he wouldn't hesitate to lend a hand occasionally. He often claimed to be unconcerned, yet couldn't help but get involved. Guan was aware of this quirk of his, but he didn't consider it a fault. On the contrary, he found it interesting. Of course, he was also delighted because he had the capability to undertake these tasks. It's been a long time since I've conducted a lifespan reincarnation. Today seems fit for one. With my current cultivation level, could the reincarnation body be so powerful that it would only fall to a mixed element profound venerable immortal? If that's the case, who could stop him? Thinking this, Guan suddenly found it amusing that if he carried out a lifespan reincarnation, he might again encounter the celestial emperor. In the past, he would have dreaded such trouble. But now he even felt a sense of anticipation. Dueling with the celestial emperor in reincarnation? Interesting. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 825. Walking the invincible path again. After Guan carved a wooden figure, he set it down. Immediately, the wooden figure stood on the ground and started twitching. Its wooden body seemed to come to life, moving its limbs more and more agilely. Finally, the wooden figure transformed into a wood spirit. It looked the same as before, but it was clearly more vigorous and lively compared to before. The wood spirit waved at Guan and then burrowed into the soil, disappearing from sight. Guan smiled. He stood up, stretched lazily, and walked along the path. He was planning to find a new place to settle down and begin a round of lifespan reincarnation. Walking through the bamboo forest, he pondered about what attitude he should adopt for his upcoming reincarnation choices. If it's the same as before, it would be quite dull. Currently, lifespan reincarnation is no longer as significant for Guan's assistance. He doesn't need more secret skill, Taoist technique. For him, this function is more of an immersive experience, more real than lifespan projection, akin to truly experiencing reincarnation. Let him personally enter reincarnation and disappear for many years. He wouldn't feel at ease concerning reality. But lifespan reincarnation is different. He can experience a lengthy life within just 1 or 2 hours. After leaving the bamboo forest, Guan walked ahead as he always did, appreciating his dojo. The disciples he encountered kept their distance and respectfully saluted, not daring to approach or disturb. Within the Taoist field of the beginningless, the ancestors' dominance remained high. Even though Guan wore a smile, the disciples still felt immense pressure since their master and ancestor had instructed them not to show any disrespect before the ancestor. While observing the scenery along the way, Guan once again peered into the future of the beginningless. The future of anything contains numerous possibilities. The stronger the forces involved, the more extensive the cause and effect, leading to countless potential futures. With numerous disciples mastering vast powers, the future of the beginningless naturally becomes multifaceted, possibly different each day. For cultivators like Guan, no matter how varied the changes are, he viewed them without fear that the beginningless future might alter, but merely to see in which direction it might change. The destiny changes in the beginningless allowed Guan to see in Zizai's efforts, and Zizai was worried that the beginningless might encounter troubles, becoming stricter with the disciples. Guan was neither opposed to nor supportive of Zizai's efforts. He simply watched quietly. And Zizai's efforts influenced the fate of the beginningless, which served as a microcosm. All beings in the world continuously exert influence upon each existence. This calm progression took an hour until Guan reached a lakeside, where he sat in his usual spot on an old wooden chair used for fishing, silently performing lifespan reincarnation. You expend 1 billion years of lifespan to initiate a reincarnation evolution. Choose between reincarnating to the past, present, or future. This time, Guan decided not to choose the past as that would entail significant cause and effect. He believed his reincarnation body might live as primordial profound venerable, an existence that would undoubtedly stir the heavenly Tao. Future. Would you reuse the reincarnation body from past lifespan reincarnation? Yes. Guan had already made up his mind on the way. The me with the highest comprehension should walk through the invincible path once again. You choose to reincarnate as extreme. Begin connecting to Tao rules, start searching for the reincarnation heaven and earth. You have the following heaven and earth choices. Select 1. Taiwei Earth Core. 2. Endless Jade Pool. 3. Immortal Cave Heaven. These places had been mentioned before. Guan had not visited them, yet he could already see their locations and conditions. Guan did not hesitate and quickly made his choice. You choose to reincarnate into Taiwei Earth Core. This reincarnation maintains the ability to seize lifespan and lifespan evolution throughout. Reincarnation evolution begins. Taiwei Earth Core possesses great destiny. In endless ages, nature's spiritual energy turns into spirit water descending along the Earth's core. Countless stones on the ground are repeatedly flushed by spirit water. Only one stone persists, eventually developing spiritual intelligence. In the first year you become a spirit stone of the Taiwei Earth Core. With your spiritual intelligence activated, you're filled with curiosity about the world, but you temporarily lack the ability to act. You can only instinctively absorb the spirit water drops falling upon you. Spirit stone? Guan thought of Sun Wukong from Journey to the West. However, Sun Wukong was the stone that mended the sky, of much greater origin. The following prompts were calming, offering no choices. At age 507, a female immortal flew from the horizon, landed beside you and examined you curiously. You involuntarily felt nervous but heard her speak aloud. She discovered you possessed spiritual intelligence, deemed you a peculiar being undeserving of obscurity. She did not disturb you but instead left. At age 508, the female immortal returned with a group of human race cultivators, instructing them to guard your growth. You also learned her name, Xingtian. Very likely it was Zhu Shi, as Taiwei Earth Core was hidden deep within the Taiwei Great World, part of a deeper plane. The current Taiwei Great World had yet to perceive Taiwei Earth Core's existence, holding even grander spiritual energy and opportunities. Guan was not surprised. He chose Taiwei Earth Core initially to see if Extreme and Zhu Shi could interact. At age 9999, you felt your power on the verge of exploding, entering a profound mystery state to perceive Extreme Tao combat technique, condensing Extreme Tao fruit, eventually shattering the spirit stone and transforming into a human form, astonishing the holy court cultivators guarding around you. You chose a name for yourself, Extreme. In the same year Xingtian visited and you grew fond of her. You did not refuse her invitation to explore Taiwei Earth Core with her. During this period Xingtian wished to take you as a disciple, a decision you must make. No. Agreeing would contradict the natural path, wouldn't it? Guan immediately decided. Sir the Novelier. N.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. You rejected Shengxian's offer of discipleship. Although Xingtian felt regret, she was not upset. She insisted on imparting you the cultivation method but was astonished by your display of extreme Tao combat technique. In the following cues Xingtian guided Extreme through Taiwei Earth Core, visiting numerous ancient dojos and ruins. During which, Extreme continuously showcased cultivation talent and comprehension, astonishing Xingtian multiple times. Moreover, Extreme acquired battle armor and divine weapon, as if these treasures naturally awaited his arrival. Years later, Extreme followed Xingtian to the Taiwei Great World, entering seclusion for cultivation within the Holy Court. In just 1,000 years he reached Zizai Immortal Realm, shocking the entire Holy Court. As a result, Xingtian proclaimed to the world, appointing Extreme as the Holy Court's heavenly strategy war god, declaring him a supreme treasure bestowed upon Taiwei Great World by the heavens. 500 years later, Extreme surpassed Zizai Immortal Realm, bidding farewell to Xingtian, wanting to explore the Taiwei Great World alone. Xingtian did not object. Within the Taiwei Great World, the Holy Court held absolute dominion. Extreme encountered someone in distress and decided to help. Consequently, the harasser wouldn't relent and was ultimately killed by Extreme, leading him to discover his lifespan evolution ability. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 826. Time-Space Technique. JS experiences in the Taiwei Great World were quite diverse, with various enmities frequently arising. Some admired him, but strangely when faced with women's confessions, he didn't even give Guan a chance to choose, directly rejecting them, while hesitating over matters like killing, accepting a mentor, or pleading for others. Aside from emotions, Guan had no choice in Jis' other affairs, which made his experience rather enjoyable. For now, Jis' personality wasn't considered gloomy. He bore no grudges and would make many friends. Even just reading about him, Guan could imagine the image of a heroic prodigy full of pride and ambition. Moreover, Jis' actions were upright and forthright, succumbing to flexibility rather than force. The more enemies he had, the more excited he became. If enemies pleaded with him, he would hesitate. There were also a few times when Ji hesitated and was attacked by enemies, but he never took it as a lesson. Even if he was ambushed, he could teach his enemies a painful lesson. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. By the time Ji reached 100,000 years old, he had already attained the realm of heaven encompassing free immortal, becoming the undisputed foremost prodigy of the Taiwei Great World. Ultimately, Ji left the Taiwei Great World, setting out alone to explore the outer heaven. It was the inevitable path to attaining the Tao, and Xingtian did not stop him, even looking forward to it. It seemed Xingtian regarded Ji as a potential successor, pinning high hopes on him. After leaving the Taiwei Great World, Ji first arrived at the path of the Great Tao. Upon arrival, he encountered the Taoist emperor who was of the same realm. Ji directly invited him to a duel and eventually defeated him, helping him heal before moving on. Guan felt that Jis' cultivation speed was swift, but Ji hadn't used his lifespan to evolve his capabilities. He had killed too few enemies. Ji bore no attachments and did not hide his cultivation level, so few dared to scheme against him. Most battles arose from treasure disputes, never reaching the point of a killing blow. Until Ji was 150,023 years old, Guan raised an eyebrow. At 150,023 years old, you encountered a great battle where hundreds of cultivators besieged a single person. Among them were Taoist emperors and primordial Tao emperors. Seeing that they were all of the same realm, you took interest and began to watch. Ultimately, you witnessed that person repel hundreds of enemies, recognizing them as the strongest person you've ever met of the same realm. You went forward to invite a duel and gave them time to restore mana and heal. Could this person be the reincarnation of the Celestial Emperor? Guxuan, you could fight the Celestial Emperor to a standstill. Of course, before the final battle, the Celestial Emperor likely held something back, so in Guan's eyes, Guxuan Yu's combat talent was not as strong as Jis. Among all Guan's reincarnation bodies, Jis' combat talent was the strongest. Not only could he sweep through those of the same realm, but he could also fight those of higher realms. At 150,043 years old, that person had recovered, stood up, and called out to you, willing to fight you. You engaged in a grand battle that lasted 7 days and nights, with you ultimately winning. You did not kill them. You put away your divine weapon, praised that they were the most powerful opponent you've encountered, but the other was in a daze and did not respond. Seeing this, you did not console them but provoked them, hoping they would exhibit even stronger abilities next time. This rekindled their fighting spirit. Through some exchanges you learned their name, Taihao. It was indeed Taihao. Although Guan had speculated, he didn't expect Jis' talent to be so remarkable that he could defeat the reincarnation of the Celestial Emperor. However, the specifics would only be clear after inheriting memories. What if this Taihao hadn't inherited the Celestial Emperor's techniques, making their strength inferior to the Taihao that Guxuan Yu encountered? After this battle, they agreed to meet again in 1,000,000 years. Ji continued to travel alone. Through countless battles, Jis' reputation continued to rise. Although he lacked special destiny, he could suppress both the Taoist Emperor and primordial Tao Emperor. His talent was so impressive that major powers began to court him, but Guan rejected them all. The more rejections there were, the more trouble arose. Ji faced an assault from an emperor clan of the primordial emperor domain, with an innate golden immortal leading them. Even so, he managed to escape unscathed. The good times didn't last. The heaven-balancing golden immortal from that emperor clan made a move. Ji fought with all his might. On the brink of death, he unleashed the extreme Tao combat technique, severely injuring the heaven-balancing golden immortal. Taking advantage of their shock, he escaped into the great Tao River, narrowly avoiding disaster. Daring. Quite the ferocity. In Guan's view, it was impossible for a heaven-encompassing free immortal to defeat an innate golden immortal, let alone injure a heaven-balancing golden immortal. It was simply illogical. But the injuries from this battle were severe as well. Ji recuperated in the Great Tao River for 10,000 years before barely managing to eliminate the leftover mana of the heaven-balancing golden immortal, enhancing his physique. Though he recovered, Ji was lost. He couldn't find a way out within the Great Tao River. At 18,372 years old, you encountered someone in the River of Destiny. Observing their extraordinary bearing, you challenged them to a duel. However, due to a large difference in Tao practice, you ended up defeated. The other party admired you and decided to teach you a divine skill. You learned the time-space technique. When you asked for their name wanting to thank them, they left only their name before departing. You committed Lu Qixian's name to memory. Might this youngster have noticed something? Guwen and his reincarnation bodies shared similarities in appearance and physique. The last time he met Lu Qiuxian, he felt the youngster guessed his identity but didn't reveal it. Not only did they forgive Jis' offense, but also imparted skills to him. Guwen felt even more favorably towards Lu Qiuxian, thinking he could possibly guide him more in the future. In the years that followed, Ji began to rigorously practice the time-space technique. As Lu Qiuxian had said, this divine skill was his only chance to escape. A century later, Ji mastered the time-space technique. When he first wielded it, he shifted to a mysterious dimension. Upon investigation, he discovered he had arrived in the primordial emperor domain. Greatly pleased, he decided to cultivate there and then seek revenge on that emperor clan. He first entered a city, inquiring about that emperor clan, but found no information. No one in the city was aware of that clan's existence. Unconvinced, he visited other cultivation cities, but again no one knew of this emperor clan. Eventually, he heard of a great power who became an emperor renowned across the world. He had heard this name before along the path of the Great Tao. Based on time calculations, he realized he had traveled back 100 billion years in the primordial emperor domain, leaving him utterly stunned. Guwen was also surprised. In a previous life, Ji had journeyed to the past, but it was only the past of the celestial spirit great world. This time was different. The River of Destiny stretched unimaginably far from the primordial emperor domain, spanning 100 billion years. Ji seemed to have a subtle connection with the path of spacetime. Ji began to travel the world, and through years of understanding he finally confirmed that he had traversed time and space. When he attempted the time-space technique again, it was unsuccessful. Instead of delving further into the time-space technique, he hid deep in the mountains and began cultivation. He decided to first attain the level of Golden Immortal before venturing the Primordial Emperor domain. He heard that the emperors of the Primordial Emperor domain were historically significant figures, which intrigued him and fueled his fighting spirit. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 827. After confirming his target, Ji began his long years of closed-door training. In just 100,000 years he had reached the innate golden immortal realm. The crossing the tribulation was earth-shattering, attracting many great powers to come and watch. With great enthusiasm, Ji directly challenged them, defeating all contenders and making a name for himself in the primordial emperor domain. Ji then began traversing the world, continuously encountering people and events, which presented Guwen with many choices. As before, Guwen could not involve himself in matters of affection, directly refusing them, but he always managed to meddle in other matters. No matter how much his cultivation level increased, Ji remained true to his original intentions, ignoring emotions and focusing solely on becoming stronger. The primordial emperor domain was far more vast than the Taiwei Great World. As Ji waged battles along the way, this path seemed endless, with numerous great emperors, emperor clans, imperial dynasties, and sects constantly appearing in the prompts, keeping Guwen thoroughly entertained. At the age of 321,642, you were at the World Sword Mansion gaining sword enlightenment when the ancient sword soul emerged, appearing before you, wishing to become your master. Would you choose to agree? No. Ji had no need for external aids. If this sword soul caused any trouble in the future, he would have to clean up the mess, which was too bothersome. Guwen hoped Ji could maintain his unattached state so that he could focus solely on becoming stronger. After rejecting the ancient sword soul, Ji still encountered troubles as the World Sword Mansion tried to forcibly retain him, resulting in unpleasantness and a fierce battle where he relied on his formidable strength to break through the encirclement. After leaving the World Sword Mansion, Ji did not linger. He found a way to become stronger through battles, and even without frequently killing enemies, his cultivation level was rapidly growing. 1,000,000 years later, Ji stepped into the heaven-balancing golden immortal realm, becoming an unparalleled powerhouse whose fame was unmatched. Later, Ji encountered a person who was the founder of the Emperor clan he sought revenge against, but he was still too young. Seeing him kneeling before him, begging for mercy, Ji hesitated whether to let him go. Guwen made the decision for him, letting him go. The invincible should not fear the birth of new enemies, and besides, changing the past related to oneself risks karma retribution. Ji spared the primordial ancestor of the Emperor clan, and he had no further regrets about the primordial Emperor domain. After staying in this realm for millions of years, sweeping through the strong, undefeated, he was content and he used the time-space technique to leave. Upon returning to the River of Destiny, Ji was still unable to escape its bounds. There was a powerful force in the dark that restricted him, but he was not discouraged as it was this force that helped him evade the death calamity. What he needed to do was forge a path to life himself. He used the time-space technique again, arriving in another great world which was unfamiliar to him. He was uncertain if he had returned to his timeline, but he did not care and resumed his path of battle. Seeking strong adversaries, challenging them, achieving victory, repeating the cycle. Just like before, initially he caused much trouble, but as he defeated more opponents and never killed those without grievances, the beings of this great world began to admire him. Guwen continuously faced choices, the process being very relaxed. Since achieving the Golden Immortal Realm, Ji had never been embarrassed, defeating whoever he fought against. No matter how many enemies came, he could repel them. Indeed, it was defeating, not retreating. Guwen could distinctly feel a forward momentum emerging from Ji, something that past reincarnation bodies like Yangxian, Longzhan, and Guxuanyu lacked. After sweeping the world, Ji used the time-space technique once more. Unable to leave the River of Destiny, he continued to use the time-space technique. Wherever he went he would conquer, and only leave when he had no battles left to fight. After sweeping through the 5 directions plane and great worlds, Ji achieved the Taiching Golden Immortal Realm. After 30 applications of the time-space technique, Ji attained the heaven-opening Daluo Immortal Realm. Finally, he could break free from the constraints of the River of Destiny, returning to the path of the Great Tao, and then he encountered Taihao. At the age of 2,379,662, you met Taihao, an old opponent. Taihao challenged you, and you sensed a strong temporal cause and effect in Taihao, realizing he might have experiences similar to yours. Taihao was also in the heaven-opening Daluo Immortal Realm, and you gladly accepted the challenge, commencing a prolonged battle. At the age of 2,379,694, your battle with Taihao led to the collapse of the Great Tao. At the age of 2,379,695, you finally defeated Taihao. Taihao was disheartened but genuinely admired your strength, conceding wholeheartedly. He invited you to journey along the path of the Great Tao together. Do you choose to agree? No. Having been sworn brothers for a lifetime is enough. Being Taihao's brother is a deadly affair. Guwen decisively made the choice, secretly pleased. As expected of Ji, Taihao had been defeated by Ji a second time, even though it was clearly more challenging this time, but a win is a win. Far better than Guxuanyu, whose greatest achievement was mutual destruction. You refused Taihao's request and Taihao felt regret, agreeing to meet again for another battle. You gladly accepted, praising him as still your greatest opponent, which pleased Taihao, and you both parted ways. After parting with Taihao, Ji left the path of the Great Tao, planning to return to the Taiwei Great World. Upon discovering that time continued to flow there during his time travel, albeit not as quickly as during his travels, Ji returned to the Taiwei Great World and met Xingtian. Upon learning of his cultivation level, Xingtian was gratified, and Ji discovered that Xingtian was also a heaven-opening Daluo immortal. Xingtian invited Ji to participate in a holy court meeting. During the meeting in the Grand Hall, upon hearing that someone from the holy court was captured by the Nine Divine Mansion, Ji volunteered, willing to make a trip to the underworld, and after a moment's hesitation, Xingtian agreed to send him to the underworld. Seeing the words Nine Divine Mansion, Guwen couldn't help but think of Guxuanyu's life. Encountering this force again, it's truly been around for a long time. Speaking of which, Guxuanyu harbored a deep-seated enmity with the Nine Divine Mansion, persisting even to death. This time let's see if Ji can avenge him. Before the Nine Divine Mansion, Ji declared his origins, but was expelled by their keepers. He chose to force his way in. Having stood for countless years, the Nine Divine Mansion was not easy to shake, as they also possessed Daluo immortals. Relying on the time-space technique, even if unable to defeat the mansion's strong warriors, Guwen believed Ji could escape alive. But Ji was tougher than expected. Even forcing out Miao Jin Daluo immortal, he insisted on fighting, and that Miao Jin Daluo immortal couldn't defeat him. Eventually, the pavilion master of the Nine Divine Mansion was alarmed, personally coming out to stop the fight, agreeing to return the holy court disciple, thus resolving the conflict. Afterward, the pavilion master invited Ji as a guest. Guan declined on Jae's behalf, but the pavilion master was too enthusiastic, holding on to Jae's hand, leaving him no choice but to agree. See the novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The pavilion master hosted a grand banquet, gathering many great powers of the Nine Divine Mansion to introduce Ji, praising him as possessing the potential to transcend and offering his daughter in marriage to Ji. Without waiting for Guan's choice, Ji directly refused. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 828. Breaking through the celestial court, the gentle breeze blew from the lake, causing Guan's black hair to sway. He watched as Ji emerged from the Nine Divine Mansion, a smile naturally appearing on his face. The pavilion master truly harbored ill intentions. After being rejected by Ji, he immediately ordered an assault on him. The so-called grand feast was actually a hidden trap. Unfortunately, despite all his scheming, the pavilion master couldn't keep Ji there. Ji not only escaped unharmed but also rescued the disciple of the Holy Court. Upon returning to Xingtian, Jae's performance greatly satisfied Xingtian, who directly appointed him as the Holy Court's undefeated war god, allowing him to enjoy the Holy Court's destiny perpetually. In the same year, Xingtian bestowed upon Ji an opportunity to ascend to immortality, causing Ji to hesitate. Guan declined on his behalf. The celestial court was filled with celestial Dao destiny, and the heavenly Dao was one with the celestial emperor. Guan didn't want him to be seen through by the celestial emperor. Xingtian felt regret over Jai's rejection but didn't force the matter. Less than a century after staying in the Holy Court, Ji couldn't suppress his battle intent. He bid farewell to Xingtian and embarked on the path of conquest again. He began to travel across the 3,000 great worlds, occasionally using the time-space technique to traverse the past and future. After leaving legends in the 3,000 great worlds, Ji ventured into various major domains. The Endless Dao Mountain, Immortal Cave Heaven, Misty Immortal Court, Ling Mountain, Golden Immortal Ancestor Tree, Taiching Deep Realm, Netherworld Deep Sea, and other places previously mentioned in the lifespan breakthrough hints appeared before Guan. Notably, Ji encountered the Celestial Buddha at Ling Mountain. The Celestial Buddha seemed to have something to say to him but hesitated. This made Guan speculate that he might have thought of the Emperor of Eternal Life. Ultimately, Ji and the Celestial Buddha did not form a close relationship. After staying at Ling Mountain for several months, Ji left. Millions of years later, Ji achieved the Miaojin Daoyuo immortal status. 100 million years later, under the siege of many Daoyuo immortals, Ji broke through to become a Dao Extreme Daoyuo immortal during battle, attracting the arrival of the Celestial Dao Venerable. The Celestial Dao Venerable wanted to take Ji as a disciple, but Guan declined on Jai's behalf. Even if Ji were to be killed by the Celestial Court now, he had lived enough. Fortunately, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the Celestial Dao Venerable did nothing improper. After being rejected by Ji, he left without a word. Jai's fame spread completely. In front of the Celestial Dao heroes, he announced he would go to the Endless Dao Mountain to preach. During the subsequent preaching, Ji surprisingly created a unique Great Dao destiny, naming it the Extreme Battle Emperor. It was recognized by the 3,000 Great Dao, its destiny imprinted on the path of the Great Dao, and Ji took the opportunity to describe the method of proving the Extreme Battle Emperor. Guan couldn't help but raise an eyebrow at this point. Ji actually created a Great Dao destiny as well. So, doesn't that mean he pioneered two kinds of Great Dao destiny on his own? Is that even possible? Guan pondered, and at the same time Jai's life continued. After establishing the Extreme Battle Emperor, Jai's opponents became fewer and fewer. Wherever he went, immortal family great powers invited him as a guest, which allowed Guan to witness scenes of harmonious conversations. Unfortunately, no one will always have smooth sailing. At the age of 2,532,167, one immortal god blocked your path. This immortal god called himself Son of Heaven Jueni, wanting to experience the power of the Extreme Battle Emperor. You chose to fight and easily defeated Son of Heaven Jueni. You did not kill Son of Heaven Jueni, but his departing gaze made you somewhat uncomfortable. Upon seeing this hint, Guan knew that Jai's destined calamity had arrived. No seeker could avoid the Celestial Court after becoming powerful. Guan's reincarnation body could not live forever. He would eventually die, and within the heavenly Dao, death could only occur at the hands of the Celestial Court. The novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Son of Heaven Jueni, Guan glanced over, seeing Son of Heaven Jueni cultivating within the celestial court, who was now also at the Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal cultivation level. Among many Sons of Heaven, Son of Heaven Jueni's authority wasn't large, but his talent was outstanding. Guan only took a glance and didn't resolve to deal with Son of Heaven Jueni ahead of time, despite the experiences from lifespan reincarnation. After defeating Son of Heaven Jueni, Ji continued his travels. The Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal cultivation level allowed him to overlook all living beings. Without considering the celestial court, not many great powers could rival him. Being invincible is lonely, so Ji chose to retreat in a domain contemplating a higher realm. Until millions of years later, the world he was in was illuminated, and numerous immortal gods descended. An immortal monarch stood atop the clouds, proclaiming Jis sins, announcing that Jis reckless time-space travels had disrupted the order of cause and effect, waging wars everywhere, disrupting the balance across realms, and not fulfilling the obligations of a Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal. The celestial court wanted to capture Ji and take him to the 9 heavens for interrogation. Guan naturally disagreed, choosing to refuse. Ji engaged the celestial army in a great battle for the first time. Even with a supreme immortal led by a Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal realm, Ji easily repelled them. Soon after this battle ended, the celestial Tao Venerable took action. The opponent was an existence beyond the Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal level. Despite struggling with all his might, Ji could not win and ultimately escaped, using the time-space technique, albeit heavily injured. He arrived at a mysterious plane, found a realm, and began recuperating. By a twist of fate, during his recovery someone passed through this realm and discovered him. This person was precisely Taihao. After a long absence, Taihao was also at the Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal cultivation level. He was delighted, but upon learning of Jis experiences, he too began cursing the celestial court and declared he would fight alongside Ji, deeply moving Ji. Guan sighed, thinking to himself, "Silly child, they are the leaders of the celestial court deliberately coming to mess with you." Regardless of whether Taihao recovered his original memory, Guan already saw the ending. Ji and Taihao would die together. The celestial court didn't dare to deal with Taihao but would definitely create an opportunity for a one-on-one match between them. Guan continued to watch. After Ji recovered from his injuries, Taihao once again challenged Ji. As before, Ji laughed last, but this time, Taihao wasn't as disappointed. The two continued healing, agreeing to cause havoc in the celestial court once fully healed. In this lifetime, Taihao's sect was destroyed by immortal gods, which is why he hated the celestial court to the core. This is also why he was willing to help Ji. Due to this reason, Ji did not refuse his assistance, and both were full of heroism, believing they could penetrate the celestial court. They were entities that dominated within their realm, and now having reached the end of the immortal Tao, even against the celestial Tao Venerable, their combined strength might prevail. 1,000,000 years later, the two stood before the celestial gate of the celestial court. Taihao expressed he was prepared to face death, but Ji was not seeking a death battle. He was full of confidence, believing he could win. Evidently, 1,000,000 years later, Jis' power had grown once more. The great battle erupted. The two joined forces, sweeping through the celestial army, fighting from the south heavenly gate to the front of the palace of the pole star, ultimately forcing 4 celestial Tao Venerables to combine into an array. In a critical moment, Taihao unleashed power beyond that of a Tao Extreme Daluo Immortal, forcibly breaking the array. Guan felt that the celestial Tao Venerables seemed to be acting. Regardless, ultimately Ji and Taihao broke into the palace of the pole star, seeking the legendary celestial emperor to impart justice. On the grand, majestic and lavish palace of the pole star, the emperor's throne, representing supreme power, was empty. At this moment, a celestial Tao Venerable entered the hall. In his palm, shockingly, was the entire Taiwei Great World, and Ji felt the aura of his old friends from Xingtian and the Holy Court. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 829, Guan's Pursuit. Seeing the Holy Court captured, Guan saw the outcome. But ending life with this result isn't too bad. At least this lifetime has been exciting enough. The celestial Tao Venerable demanded Ji surrender, or he would annihilate the beings of the Taiwei Great World. The unyielding Ji hesitated, and Guan made the decision for him. Agree to compromise. When prompted, Ji laid down his divine weapon, enraging Taihao greatly. No matter how much Taihao tried to persuade, Ji refused to take up the divine weapon. Taihao declared their brotherhood severed, then went out to fight alone, leaving Ji surrounded by immortal gods. The Celestial Emperor truly knows how to play. Guan felt Ji must be extremely upset. Ji never thought Taihao was the Celestial Emperor all along. Ultimately, Ji was suppressed by the Celestial Tao Venerable. Due to his Vajra undying body, the Celestial Court cast him into the heavenly prison to endure endless torment. Seeing Ji not killed, Guan speculated it had something to do with Taihao. Unexpectedly, this lifetime hadn't yet reached its end. Guan continued to watch, perhaps like Guxuanyu, Ji would escape the heavenly prison and cause havoc in the Celestial Court once more. During those years of suppression, Ji began comprehending the extreme Tao combat technique. His technique grew stronger, and Guan guessed the lifespan he stole from enemies in the past was unused until now, possibly relating to the destiny of the extreme battle emperor. Regardless of the reason, after enduring suppression for 100 billion years, Ji forcibly broke through the great realm, reaching the Shen-Qi primordial immortal stage. A terrifying celestial tribulation shattered the prison restrictions, allowing him to escape. Pent up for 100 billion years, his combat intent soared, astonishing the heavens and gods alike, causing cosmic phenomena across the 3,000 great worlds, Great Tao Domain and the underworld. Ji then displayed his expertise, battling while crossing the tribulation, using heavenly thunder to fight. Under normal circumstances, one should not be disturbed during the tribulation. If mana and chi blood go chaotic, it might lead to demonic possession, followed by being obliterated by heavenly thunder. But Ji seemed unafraid of this, even showing the same in previous lifespans. With the cultivation level of Shen-Qi primordial immortal, even the Celestial Tao Venerable wasn't his match. Guan saw in one prompt he punched a Celestial Tao Venerable to pieces, scaring all the immortal gods to retreat. Unfortunately, the foundation of the Celestial Court far exceeded Ji's imagination. A colossal hand traversing ages attacked. Ji was unprepared. The first strike made him lose his cultivation level, the second disintegrated his soul, body, and spirit. Reincarnation ends here. Guan closed his eyes, beginning to inherit Ji's memories. The surrounding spiritual energy surged towards him, but the dojo's plentiful spiritual energy merely stirred waves, not alarming the other disciples. The Taoist field of the beginningless had long expanded, with a special area for crossing the tribulation. The disciples were used to any disturbances. Experiencing Ji's life truly, Guan sensed a freedom other reincarnation bodies had never had, even describing it as carefree. Ji traversed the all heavens and myriad realms, ventured to the past, battled the future, reaching utmost pleasure. Most of his battles were crushing victories with rare injuries in his life. This was the longest reincarnation Guan had experienced, unlike other reincarnation bodies who loved to cultivate in seclusion. Ji's life, always on the move, was far richer than others. The Taihao encountered in this life wasn't much weaker than the one Guxuanyu met. While causing havoc in the Celestial Court, this Taihao displayed extremely fearsome power, even alarming Tsangtian. Tsangtian, the will of the heavenly Tao, Guan had heard of before but felt its power for the first time. That power belonged to the Supreme Emperor of Ultimate Merging Tao. Guan could confirm Tsangtian was the Tongshen Venerable Spirit of the Celestial Emperor. Yet Tsangtian appeared and vanished quickly, not affecting the battle, leaving a deep impression on Ji. Once the memory inheritance was complete, Guan opened his eyes, his gaze not so complex. After experiencing Ji's life, he had no regrets. Even dying in battle felt exhilarating. This life had enough battles and joy. CTH Novel F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ji had hardly ever felt wronged, even facing death, he bore it with pride. Although he never saw Xingtian in the end, Guan was not worried, for Xingtian was indeed Zhu Shi. If it were Zhu Shi with Guan present, she couldn't possibly die. Extreme Battle Emperor, Emperor Ji, why do they seem stronger than my primordial Tao Emperor? Guan murmured to himself, unable to hold back a smile. The Extreme Battle Emperor was the pinnacle of the combat path, whereas the primordial Tao Emperor was not just about combat but also comprehending the mysteries of reincarnation. The Extreme Battle Emperor was more suited for battle, while the primordial Tao Emperor for cultivation, each having their strengths. What truly intrigued Guan were the worlds Ji had visited. Some places seemed not to belong to the heavenly Tao. Could they be chaos? These unheard-of worlds fueled Guan's anticipation for the great Tao. Reaching the edge of the great Tao and one's limits too early would be dull, wouldn't it? Then simple human desires, Guan anticipated and pursued grander things. He wished to become an invincible one like the Celestial Emperor but would not be content with just that. Remembering Taihao, Guan strangely hoped the Celestial Emperor would grow stronger to make eternal years more enjoyable for him. More than that, Guan was interested in an opponent Ji defeated. That person's growth rate was absurd, meeting Ji twice. The first time when Ji was merely a Taoist Zhang Zizai immortal, and the second when Ji had become a Tao Extreme Daoyuo immortal. Each encounter had them at the same realm. Which was remarkable, considering Ji's growth rate was already very fast, almost absurd, only the Celestial Emperor in reincarnation could keep up. Guan couldn't help but wonder if someone similar to him was growing secretly, unknown to anyone? It couldn't just be him as the most unique, with countless opportunities. In the end, it's a contest of character. Sitting by the lakeside, he savored the reminiscence. Waiting until dusk fell, he stood up, stretching, looking at the shimmering lake surface, seemingly seeing Taihao's figure. Looking forward to the next encounter. Guan smiled gently, murmuring to himself. Ji's life allows him to ascertain the Celestial Emperor indeed contests with him in reincarnation. With the Celestial Emperor's capability, meeting Guan twice surely indicates he knows Guan is not simple. Yet he doesn't search the heavenly Tao but competes reincarnation body to reincarnation body, showing kindness. Though the Taoist field of the beginningless is strong, if the Celestial Emperor wants to search the heavenly Tao with a fine-tooth comb, he would eventually find it. Most critically, Guan had already grown strong before encountering the Celestial Emperor, having at least the power to protect himself. His past path was correct. It shouldn't be changed prematurely. Guan turned back towards the mountain peak where he resided. Simultaneously, a meteor streaked across the distant sky, leaving a poignant trail of airwaves. The meteor was not a stone but a white jade coffin. As the coffin streaked across the sky and past a cliff, a hand stopped it, causing a violent storm to spread in all directions, devouring the mountain, uprooting forest, impacting a 1,000-mile radius. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 830. The white jade coffin hung precariously above the cliff, held back by a man in white robes. His long white hair danced in the breeze, his face handsome, and an arrogance between his brows that could not be concealed. It was none other than Son of Heaven Ji Yan. Compared to many years ago, there was an added touch of world weariness about him. His eyes observed the white jade coffin, a nostalgic expression in his gaze, and he muttered to himself, "It's been a long time since we fought side by side." His identity as the Son of Heaven was never hidden. Ever since his ascension he roamed the celestial spirit great world with this identity. Some pledged allegiance to him while others scoffed. Things did not develop as smoothly as he had imagined. The leading heavenly spirit Tao alliance showed him indifference, making it hard for him to find a foothold. He had no choice but to employ his life-bound divine weapon. He turned his head towards the distance, his gaze gradually becoming cold and sharp. If he couldn't uproot the heavenly spirit Tao alliance, it would be difficult for him to become the master of this realm. Becoming the world supreme was his trial in reincarnation, and he couldn't fall here. The existence of Ancestor Master Wuxia once caused him concern, but after his investigations he dismissed those worries. As long as he did not harm the masses, Ancestor Master Wuxia would not intervene. Furthermore, he had visited the immortal gods who remained in this realm. He had a vague guess but did not reveal it. He only needed to focus on his tribulation. With that thought, he vanished with the white jade coffin from the precipice. Time continued to flow, never pausing for anyone. Millions of years passed in a blink. The dark heavenly court was eventually repelled by the celestial court, and the celestial Tao destiny of the 3,000 great worlds began to rise. More opportunities to ascend to immortality appeared in the human world. The celestial spirit great world was no exception, and one individual gained an opportunity for immortality, ascending in broad daylight, renowned throughout the lands. The desire to become immortal planted a seed deep in the hearts of all beings, making it even harder for Son of Heaven Ji Yan to act, as the awe people held for this Son of Heaven was waning. Rather than serve the immortal gods, why not strive to become one? Sir the Novelier. N.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance was stronger than Son of Heaven Ji Yan had imagined, but with his own talent and divine weapon, the power he established over millions of years reached a level that could contend with the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. The current world power lay in the struggle between the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance and the Son of Heaven for dominion over heaven and earth. In spring, the Taoist field of the beginningless was brimming with life, with majestic landscapes as far as the eye could see. Guan was sitting in the mountain viewing pavilion, painting. Outside the pavilion, in contrast to millions of years ago, colorful small fish leapt in the cascading waterfall, adding more hues to the landscape. Two figures flew in from afar, landing swiftly in front of the mountain viewing pavilion, and Zizai and Zhen Qin. Zhen Qin lifted the hood of her robe and respectfully saluted Guan. After greeting, and Zizai spoke, "Ancestor, senior uncle Zhen has arrived." Guan turned to look at Zhen Qin, who, under his gaze, became suddenly emotional. She kneeled on the ground and said, "Master, your disciple has a request." Her expression was tense, her eyes full of anxiety. Guan did not ask Zizai to leave. Looking at Zhen Qin, he chided, "Why are you kneeling? I still prefer the old you. You rarely kneeled before me and liked to joke with me." The reason he grew close to Shangguan was not due to studying books. The real reason was that Shangguan gave him a feeling reminiscent of past interactions with Zhen Qin. To him now, engaging with others was tedious if they were too rigid. After all, he could see through people's hearts and would only care about the atmosphere of interaction, not anyone's motives. Hearing this, Zhen Qin felt ashamed. Although her master treated her as before, she was no longer the disciple of the supreme sect she once was, making it hard for her to interact with him as she used to. "Master, my disciple was captured by a great power under the Son of Heaven's command. The Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance and the Son of Heaven are like water and fire. I have no way to save him. Could you intervene?" Zhen Qin asked, gritting her teeth. Guan shook his head and said, "How can I stick my neck out for such matters? Your junior uncle will help you. Why not stay for a few days first?" "No, master, I fear something will happen to him. Please save him first and I will bring him to visit you. Will that do?" Zhen Qin said anxiously. Seeing her urgency, Guan glimpsed a shadow of her past self. "Very well, Zizai, accompany her on the journey," Guan said helplessly, indulging Zhen Qin, a disciple with whom he shared 730 million years of master-disciple bond. Son of Heaven Jiyan was the current heaven and earth hero. Wuxia disciple would not intervene in his conflict with the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, and even if Zizai had a mind to help, he still needed to consult Guan. And Zizai immediately took his orders, and Zhen Qin thanked Guan before the two left quickly. Guan turned back to continue painting. Such matters were trivial to him. Over the long years there would always be old friends or disciples seeking his aid, and as long as he allowed Zizai to bring them before him, it usually meant he would agree to help them. "Son of Heaven, I wonder if it is your scheme," Guan muttered, referring not to the present Son of Heaven causing unrest, Jiyan, but to another Son of Heaven who was now rising to the power stage in the Celestial Court. This Son of Heaven had led the Celestial Court in repelling the Dark Heavenly Court, greatly enhancing his prestige and subsequently his celestial Tao destiny. He had even entered the palace of the Pole Star to meet the Celestial Emperor. Guan did not know what they talked about, but ever since then the Celestial Emperor disappeared, and this Son of Heaven began to take charge of the Celestial Court's authority. This Son of Heaven was ambitious, gathering various immortal gods while continuously releasing immortal fate to the human world, clearly aiming to cultivate his own following. Guan's eyes could see the future of this Son of Heaven. He was benevolent to all beings but ruthless to other sons of heaven, promising to eliminate them one by one, with Shenyuan human venerable perishing at his hands. This kind of destiny was unprecedented, emerging only after the Dark Heavenly Court was driven back. When the tribulation of Son of Heaven Jiyan ended, and he returned to the Celestial Court, tremendous changes would occur, that was certain, but Jiyan could not know the Celestial Court's current situation. However, these matters did not concern Guan so long as Yang Jian, Li Xuanmiao, and the Celestial Destruction God were safe from harm. The next morning, Guan was tidying up his paintings in the mountain viewing pavilion when Zizai returned with Zhen Qin and Su Han. Son of Heaven Jiyan showed a lot of face to Zizai, and with Zizai's cultivation level they quickly returned. Su Han was already in clean clothes, looking nothing like a prisoner and without a scratch on him. He followed behind Zhen Qin, glancing around with great excitement, his face full of expectation. The three of them came to the mountain viewing pavilion to salute Guan, and Zhen Qin even had Su Han kneel to thank Guan for his life-saving grace. "It was not I who saved him, no need for such formalities, Zizai, show Su Han around and settle him in," Guan said, and upon hearing this Zizai agreed and Su Han rose to his feet. He dared not look directly at Guan and only regained his composure after leaving with Zizai. "Why am I so timid?" Su Han was secretly annoyed. Meeting ancestor Master Wuxia was something he looked forward to the most. He had imagined it many times, yet he never thought he would be so awkward. Even after realizing this, he still dared not turn around to look back. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 831. The aspiration to ascend to immortality. Zhen Qin looked at Guan standing in the pavilion, her emotions stirring, with countless words stuck in her throat, unable to express them. Guan walked out of the mountain viewing pavilion, following the mountain path, and Zhen Qin hurriedly caught up. Your disciple has already been saved, you should also relax. Rarely coming to the beginningless, why not enjoy the scenery along the way? Guan walked ahead, speaking softly, his tone very gentle, like a spring breeze entering Zhen Qin's heart, swiftly calming her. Tell me about your experiences over the years. Upon hearing her master's words, Zhen Qin immediately began organizing her thoughts. Having Zhen Qin recount the past wasn't because Guan wanted to know, but rather he hoped to calm her down through this process. Although Zhen Qin posed as a sage, silent and taciturn around Su Han, Guan could hear her heart's voice, knowing she hadn't changed fundamentally, still lively, now preferring to keep words in her heart. Master and disciple walked through the woods. The sunlight pierced through the leaves' gaps, shining on them as if returning to over 70 million years ago when they walked through the forest together, though back then Guan did not have such an ethereal quality, and Zhen Qin appeared more lively, like a spirited young girl. The Taoist field of the beginningless is vast, this was Zhen Qin's impression. Nowadays she had the cultivation of Taoist Zhang Zizai immortal, but few places felt large to her, yet the beginningless did. Her past was bland, especially after meeting Su Han, mostly staying beside him for cultivation. Master, do you remember Senior Uncle Wuxin? After sharing her own story, Zhen Qin suddenly asked. Guan didn't halt his steps, moving forward while responding, of course I remember. How's he now? Still alive? Yes, he's still alive, he's doing well. He founded the Buddhist sect. I saw him 30 million years ago. He seemed completely different, as if transcending worldly concerns, without joy or sorrow, speaking only profound truths. Zhen Qin reminisced about her meeting with Wuxin, filled with emotion. Guan also recalled the younger junior brother of old. If not for Wuxin teaching him the Taoist expansion skill, he wouldn't have created the innate reincarnation skill, which was the divine skill allowing people to survive in the early days. In fact, Wuxin living to today was secretly supported by Guan all along. Anyone surviving over 70 million years was either one of Guan's old acquaintances or the most talented cultivators in the world back then. Millions of years ago, many cultivators would return to dust, as everyone had their fate. With Guan occasionally joining in, Zhen Qin gradually opened up, expressing more emotion in her tone. Meanwhile, Su Han followed in Zizai, exploring the Taoist field of the beginningless, visiting places mostly where Wuxia disciples gathered, as this journey opened his eyes. Many medicinal herbs in the medicine gardens were of exceptionally high tier, and the spiritual energy they emitted felt like immortal herbs, and moreover, the disciples' cultivation seemed profound and unfathomable. It's often said the beginningless is full of hidden talents. Today proved its name wasn't false. Su Han's gaze fell upon Nzizai's back, filled with admiration. He couldn't forget the scene when Nzizai arrived yesterday. The lofty son of heaven had to show respect to Nzizai, and those cultivators who tormented him looked at him with fear and pleading. Just recalling, he felt thoroughly satisfied. This was a true powerhouse, a truly enlightened great power. No need to lift a finger to subdue all formidable enemies. Senior, I want to ask about joining the Wuxia sect. What needs to be done? Su Han plucked up the courage to ask. And Zizai turned slightly, looking at him out of the corner of his eye, smiling. Call me senior brother. We belong to the same generation. Wanting to join the beginningless isn't difficult for you as you've already entered. He knew Guan very well. If Guan resisted Su Han, he wouldn't have brought him back along with Su Han. He could have sent Su Han back to the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. Upon hearing this, Su Han's heartbeat quickened. He asked eagerly, Senior brother, you speak of being peers, is Master also a Wuxia disciple? Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. From being rescued to returning to the beginningless, there were no words spoken. Zhen Qin kept a gloomy face, not daring to speak. He was unaware of his master's relationship with the beginningless. He thought of his master's expression whenever mentioning ancestor Master Wuxia, secretly confirming his suspicions. He always believed his master had some connection with the beginningless. Yes, your master is the ancestor's disciple. If counted carefully, she is my master's senior sister. Over 70 million years ago, within a sect named Supreme Sect on the Taitsong continent, the ancestor hid in the outer sect's Medicine Valley, and Zizai began recounting that past. Although he hadn't personally witnessed it, he had memorized the story early on. Su-Han was absorbed in listening, not expecting his master's relationship with ancestor Master Wuxia to be so deep. He wondered why his master left the beginningless? Su-Han puzzled silently. These puzzles were for later inquiries. He needed to find a way to make his mark in the beginningless. For some reason, since hearing the legends of the beginningless, he always felt he was meant to belong there. Such a holy place of cultivation suited a genius like him. Among the beginningless were several who had stayed at the Supreme Sect. Guan took Jin Qin to meet Shen Zhen. The two women had been on good terms before. They were happy to see each other, so Guan let them chat privately. Zhen Qin's joining didn't stir much within the beginningless, as outsiders often came to visit. Su-Han's experiences were merely a reflection of the world's major movements, with friction between the Son of Heaven and the Heavenly Spirit Tao alliance intensifying, approaching full-scale conflict. Several years later, in the Taitsong dynasty's imperial palace, Li Xiandao in his dragon robe, sat on the dragon throne, exuding a dominating aura of ruling the world, his posture slightly lazy yet giving a sense of a true dragon-coiled pressure. Li Xuando's gaze fell upon the hall. There stood only one person, Son of Heaven Jie Yen. Jie Yen, wearing a golden dragon-black robe with white hair casually draped, a sword suspended behind him, its blade a palm's width, the sword body of a white jade hue, while at the sword guard appeared two Qilin in contention, overall exquisitely crafted yet exuding an ancient air. The Son of Heaven and the Heavenly Spirit Tao alliance are at odds. My Taitsong dynasty should not get involved. Li Xiandao slowly spoke, his tone indifferent. Having been emperor for over 70 million years, he was seen almost as a celestial emperor in the eyes of Taitsong's people, and being experienced he wouldn't feel nervous about the visit from Son of Heaven Jie Yen. He had seen immortal gods, much less a reincarnated Son of Heaven. Over the long years, countless prodigies emerged in the human world, from immortal gods descending to the demon monarch reincarnating, all witnessed. Son of Heaven Jie Yen spoke. Throughout history, the Heavenly Spirit Tao alliance has only restrained sects, establishing a kind of order distinguishing immortals from mortals. The imperial dynasty was not bound by the Heavenly Spirit Tao alliance yet lost the upward opportunity. Your Majesty should feel the development of the Taitsong dynasty has reached a bottleneck. Only by overthrowing the Heavenly Spirit Tao alliance is there a glimmer of hope. Moreover, I can guide immortal fate into the Taitsong dynasty, allowing your Majesty to ascend to immortality and granting your people the aspiration to ascend. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 832. Great Destiny descends. Facing Ji Yan's words, Li Xiandao remained indifferent. He raised his right hand, his gaze examining the 3 jade rings on his hand, and softly replied, "Without you, Son of Heaven, would the human world find no immortal fate? Would mortals not yearn to ascend to immortality?" Although his voice was soft, it echoed clearly within the great hall. Son of Heaven Ji Yan answered, "I can make you and your people closer to immortal fate. How many imperial dynasties are there in the world? How many do you intend to win over?" "All of them." "If it's all of them, even if you succeed, how can I be sure you will choose me? The Taitsong dynasty is already the oldest imperial dynasty in the world. Your lack of contention has led people to overlook the foundation of the Taitsong dynasty, and what's more, you have the care of ancestor Master Wuxia. Then may I ask if the celestial court has an emperor immortal position?" Li Xiandao smiled as he spoke these words. Son of Heaven Ji Yan's expression became subtle, his gaze somewhat cold, and he replied, "Naturally, apart from the Supreme Celestial Emperor, there are the 4 Celestial Tao Great Emperors and further down, 36 Emperor Stars, all positions for which rulers with accomplishments may compete. So many emperors. Why does it feel like they are merely titles?" Li Xiandao squinted his eyes, his tone growing aggressive. He leaned forward and said, "Son of Heaven, I've long heard tales like yours. I've seen and heard of many who wish to use the world as their chessboard. In the end, none met a good fate. If you truly represent the heavenly Tao, you wouldn't bring about a great calamity in the human world. If the Celestial Emperor truly wanted you to be the supreme in every life, I suspect it would not be by stepping upon countless bones to ascend to the supreme position." Son of Heaven Ji Yan raised an eyebrow and sneered, "What? Does His Majesty think that unifying the world relies on benevolence and love? I merely think that the means and levels of the immortal should be above mortals. The means you've shown make me feel no different from mortals. Pardon me, but I cannot agree. After speaking, Li Xiandao kept his gaze fixed on Son of Heaven Ji Yen. Their eyes met, confronting each other, and the atmosphere in the hall grew tense, filled with quiet oppression. For a long time, Son of Heaven Ji Yen withdrew his gaze and smiled. Since that's the case, then I'll take my leave. He turned and left. In the moment of turning, his expression became exceptionally cold. Li Xiandao sat on the emperor's throne, watching him depart. Once Son of Heaven Ji Yen left the great hall, Li Xuando's face showed a contemptuous smile and he snorted, "The immortal gods don't have a more comfortable position than mine, and moreover," his gaze looking upwards, seeming to pierce through the palace eaves to see the firmament, "I have no desire to become one of the immortal gods. But if it's to be Celestial Emperor, I am quite interested." Thinking of being Celestial Emperor, you must be ignorant of the heights of the heavens and depths of the earth. By the lakeside, Guan glanced at Su Han, who was fishing, and mocked. It has been hundreds of years since Su Han and Zhen Qin came to the Taoist field of the beginningless. The master and disciple have settled there, and ever since Guan pointed out Su Han's swordsmanship, Su Han often sought his guidance, and gradually Su Han began to cultivate alongside Guan. This has led to much discussion among the disciples. No one dared to imitate Su Han. Although Su Han was thick-skinned, it was evident to all that this was the ancestors' favoritism towards him. What's more, upon entry, Su Han was already a third-generation disciple, his seniority surpassing 90% of the disciples of the beginningless. Su Han sat beside Guan, holding a sword, and huffed, "Why am I ignorant of the heights and depths? Is the Celestial Emperor born to be Celestial Emperor? Certainly he cultivated to that position. As long as I become strong enough, I can achieve it sooner or later. Then I'll make the beginningless holy sect, supervise the heavenly court immortals. The current immortals are truly unrestrained, lacking control. That Son of Heaven abducted many imperial rulers, coercing their dynasties into battles for him. His hypocritical mask is eventually torn by himself." Guan gazed at the lake surface and said, "You have only seen a few immortal gods, yet you dare speculate about the Celestial Emperor. Most immortal gods never see the Celestial Emperor in their lifetime. The Celestial Emperor's might is beyond your imagination. You cannot imagine it, let alone surpass it." These words are true. All beings relying on the Celestial Tao destiny can never surpass the Celestial Emperor. Their cultivation would only help the Celestial Emperor grow stronger. Guan possesses the strength to rival the Celestial Emperor primarily by harnessing the power of lifespan evolution. To this day he is certain that his power originates outside the Heavenly Tao, perhaps existing longer than the Heavenly Tao itself. If one cannot possess opportunities outside the Heavenly Tao like him, one should not dream of surpassing the Celestial Emperor. Just like how the primordial Tao Emperor cannot surpass him. "Ancestor, have you ever seen the Celestial Emperor?" Su Han curiously asked, looking at Guan expectantly. In the myths of the celestial spirit great world, Ancestor Master Wuxi's status is in no way inferior to the Celestial Emperor, perhaps even higher because he has saved the heavens and earth numerous times, even defending against unjust immortal gods for all beings. "Never seen him. I've never even been to the celestial court," Guan casually replied. "Then why don't you want to become immortal? What is the purpose of ascending to immortality?" "Naturally, for longevity and immortality." "I already have longevity and immortality, why need to become immortal? Then to become stronger? Even as I speak with you now, my cultivation level increases. You cling to me, your cultivation level stagnates, but mine does not. Do you know how I achieve this?" "How do you achieve this?" Su Han was stupefied. He thought the ancestor's words were too extravagant. Constantly growing stronger? If true, no wonder no one can catch up to him. Guan answered, "When you reach a certain realm, you will naturally achieve this, but until then you need to endure very long years, long enough for the celestial spirit great world to perish, and you must persevere." Su Han followed his words, only feeling a chill in his heart. Though he was a cultivator, he seemed insignificant in the face of time. He did not know how to cultivate to live longer than the celestial spirit great world. At this moment, a brilliant light erupted from the sky, causing heaven and earth to pale. Su Han instinctively looked up but saw nothing. This burst of bright light appeared suddenly and faded quickly. Su Han regained his vision and looked intently, his complexion slightly changing, only to see countless fire phoenixes appearing on the horizon, as if coming from outer heaven, flying towards the distant land. There are dozens incredibly magnificent. What is that? Suhan couldn't help asking. He had never seen so many phoenixes before. After the celestial spirit great world reshaped, many heaven and earth spiritual objects, including phoenixes, chilants, true dragons were born. But he felt the phoenixes at the horizon were not simple, evidently hailing from outer heaven. Guan looked up and smiled. Who said there are no rules watching the immortal gods? See, trouble is coming for that son of heaven. Trouble is coming? Is it immortal gods descending? Suhan curiously asked. CTH Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. No, it is someone bearing heaven and earth's grand destiny about to be born. He will be the most brilliant figure in the world and surely ascend to the pinnacle of the human world, sweeping away all powerful foes. Guan laughed. His words sparked many associations for Suhan. He wanted to ask, how does his aptitude compare to the one soon to be born? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 833. Celestial phenomena descended from the sky, auspicious omens swirled, attracting the attention of great sects across the world. Years later, rumors spread that a child of heaven and earth had been born. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This child of heaven and earth was born in a city under the banner of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. His parents came from a world clan and, though unremarkable within the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, they still had a certain heritage. At the mere birth of this child, celestial phenomena were triggered. It is said that an alliance hierarch of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, upon seeing the child, immediately decided to take him as a disciple, proclaiming that he would be the future of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. This matter caused a great stir as countless living beings saw the phoenixes flying across the sky. Before he even came of age, this child of heaven and earth was already renowned throughout the world. Continue. Decades later, his fame even reached the Taoist field of the beginningless. On this day, Guan was practicing swordplay in a bamboo forest, his movements not fast but elegant and lively. Ancestor, that fellow with great destiny has become famous. He's only 30 and already reached nirvana. Suhan's voice reached Guan before he himself did. Zhen Qin was already in seclusion for cultivation, whereas Suhan was restless, often coming to bother Guan. Guan seemed impatient, but in truth he quite enjoyed it. After all, he was idle and having someone to accompany him was a good thing. Since Suhan had no mission he must complete, Guan hoped he would live this life calmly and steadily. Compared to the Suhan of his past life, the Suhan of this life was too lively and cheerful, no longer the gloomy and ruthless person of before, as if they were two different people. Guan did not respond, and when he arrived in front of him, Suhan continued, although many living beings in the world are born into the nirvana realm, he is human. To cultivate from a mortal to the nirvana realm in just 30 years is truly remarkable. I am beginning to believe he is the greatest talent of all time. Ancestor, you said before that he was born in response to destiny and arose responding to calamity. Could it be that he will become the rival of the Son of Heaven? The Son of Heaven and the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance had not yet fully waged war, but their conflicts were constant, and everyone knew an entrenched and protracted time of chaos was coming. Currently, the Son of Heaven Jie Yen had already grown powerful, and with the divine weapon in his hands, no one within the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance could suppress him. Of course, if that innate golden immortal were to return, there might be hope, but the innate golden immortal had long since gone to outer heaven to seek the Tao, ignoring worldly affairs. Perhaps he might. Guan, while practicing swordplay, answered. Despite the simplicity of the swordsmanship, when he performed it, there seemed to be a sense of profound mystery. Ancestor, you said that the birth of the child of heaven and earth at such a critical moment suggests that heaven disapproves of the Son of Heaven. And behind heaven is the heavenly Tao, so could it be that the celestial emperor in the legends dislikes him? After all, there are many sons of heaven, or perhaps the celestial emperor has his own favored son of heaven and fears he will obstruct him. The royal family of human dynasties often has such occurrences. Suhan spoke enthusiastically, deeply interested in the future grand structure of the world. Since arriving at the beginningless, his perspective had broadened overnight, and he could hear about every major event under heaven, making him feel as if he were standing outside the red dust, observing the rise and fall of the tides. This feeling was wonderful, more wonderful than ever before in his life, and he thoroughly enjoyed his current life. Guan shot him a glance and said, I've said it before, Don't use mortal concepts to speculate about the celestial emperor. Suhan chuckled and said, Ancestor, why do I feel that you hold the celestial emperor in high esteem? You don't act this way when talking about other immortal gods or worldly great figures. That's because I know how strong he truly is. Who is stronger, the celestial emperor or you? Faced with Suhan's question, Guan smiled and said, It's 50-50. What does 50-50 mean? Both he and I have a 50% chance of victory. Hiss, Suhan gasped in shock. Although he was blindly reverent, he was at least a cultivator and knew what the celestial court's celestial emperor represented. One could say the celestial emperor epitomized the entire heavenly Tao. Could Ancestor really be as strong as the heavenly Tao? He was suddenly excited, his gaze at Guan glowing with admiration. For a moment he was at a loss for words, gazing at Guan with reverence. I'm telling you this alone, you mustn't tell anyone else or you'll invite trouble, Guan urged sincerely. He had concealed his cultivation level from the Suhan of the previous life, making Suhan believe he was cornered. In this life he intended to treat Suhan differently. Moreover, he wasn't worried about news leaking out. If Suhan went about spreading it, he could erase Suhan's memory of these words in an instant, erasing their influence as well. You're constantly concerned with world affairs. What requirements do you have for yourself? Guan diverted the conversation. Suhan scratched his head and said, I used to want to become the most powerful in the world, but after being defeated by the Son of Heaven's followers, I realized that mere passionate fervor wasn't enough. After joining the beginningless, my mindset has changed. I now think that the worldly distinctions of strength and weakness are meaningless. Compared to you, those who stir the winds and clouds of the world are nothing. They will eventually perish. Now, I wish to cultivate the path of longevity with you. In terms of ambition, you're far behind your grandfather. My grandfather was a great hero with the world in his heart. I'm not as noble as him, I can't compare, really can't compare. Suhan shamelessly laughed, knowing the connection between his grandfather and Ancestor. His grandfather had risen to prominence based on the legacy of the heaven-splitting axe left by Ancestor, a fact known throughout the world. Thinking of this, he looked forward to life by Ancestor's side even more. Millions of years later, standing beside Ancestor looking towards the human world, what wondrous sight would it be? Cultivate well. When your cultivation level is sufficient, I can recommend you to become an immortal official in the celestial court. Really? Does beginningless truly have immortal fate? Truth or falsehood, the future will reveal. While answering, Guan swung his sword at him, causing him to hurriedly evade. The sunlight shone on the edge of his sword, casting a cold, sharp light, as if the entire world was losing its color. Time continued to pass, and finally, the forces of the Son of Heaven and the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance engaged in war. It was the Son of Heaven Jie Yen who declared war, coming alone to the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance to declare war and causing a great disturbance. Although he did not destroy the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, he caused significant losses, leading the intolerable Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance to officially announce to the world their intention to eliminate all of the Son of Heaven's forces. Once more, the human world transitioned from peace to an era of turmoil. It is easier for heroic figures to emerge in turbulent times. Born with great destiny and hailed as the child of heaven and earth, Guanqinyu rapidly matured through battles, ushering in a new era for all living beings. The new era bore new shining talents, and Guanqinyu was the brightest of those stars. Millions of years later, Guanqinyu reached the Zizai immortal realm, his power so formidable that even the Son of Heaven Jie Yen admired and frequently sought to recruit him. On this day, the celestial gate deep within the universe lit up, startling the celestial spirit god to rise and pay respects, awaiting the emergence of the being within the gate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 834, The Only Chance of Survival Inside the World Gate. The strong light of the heavenly Tao shone, casting a long shadow of the celestial spirit god, who maintained a posture of greeting with his head lowered. Soon, a sound of footsteps reached his ears, slightly hurried. An old immortal stepped out from within. It was Zixuan old immortal who served Shenyuan human venerable. He wore a white robe, holding a horsetail whisk in hand, with white hair coiled beneath a crown, his immortal crown resembling a silver mountain with birds seemingly circling it, along with landscapes painted on it. He came to the front of the celestial spirit god, smiled and asked, "Celestial spirit god, have you been well lately?" The celestial spirit god looked up and answered, Quite well. Has the immortal monarch come to look for the ancestor master? Ia the novel fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. No, this humble Taoist has come to find you. To find me? I wonder what instructions the immortal monarch has? Facing the celestial spirit god's inquiry, Sichuan old immortal's smile disappeared. He took a deep breath and said, "Something big is about to happen in the celestial court." The celestial spirit god raised an eyebrow. Although the celestial spirit great world had enjoyed peaceful times for tens of millions of years, such time wasn't considered long in the celestial court, so why was there trouble again for the celestial court? Could it be related to the dark heavenly court? The last time the dark heavenly court attacked the celestial court, although he didn't return to join the battle, he had observed that great war. It was the first time he witnessed the power of the dark heavenly court, which made him increasingly convinced that the celestial court was not the absolute ruler. Many powerful forces were hidden within the chaos, and even within the heavenly Tao were beings of great power like the primordial ancestor master. Sichuan old immortal said, "It's not an external catastrophe, it's an internal power struggle within the celestial court." Hearing this, the celestial spirit god breathed a sigh of relief. If that's the case, then it's not a big deal. The treacheries in the celestial court were numerous. The reason he stayed in the celestial spirit great world, not pledging allegiance to any other powerful immortal gods, was to avoid becoming a pawn. Immortal gods are immortal, but only if they retain their immortal positions. If they choose the wrong side and have their immortal positions stripped away, immortality becomes an empty promise, and even one's cultivation level might turn to nothing. The first thought that came to the celestial spirit god upon hearing Sichuan old immortal's words was that something had happened to Shenyuan human venerable. According to past competitions for the Son of Heaven, even if a Son of Heaven won, they wouldn't gain the benefits Shenyuan human venerable did: the vast celestial Tao destiny, many immortal position qualifications, and even the dominion over the 3,000 great worlds. Such prominence would surely invite jealousy. With the celestial emperor absent and Kangxin's will unpredictable, those sons of heaven would certainly set their sights on Shenyuan human venerable. "Please speak plainly, immortal monarch. Is there anything I can do?" the celestial spirit god said softly. No matter the issue, as long as it didn't threaten the celestial spirit great world, he was too indifferent to care, and he couldn't manage it. Today the Son of Heaven Taishang governs the celestial court's power. He has cast 17 sons of heaven into reincarnation, and the Son of Heaven Xianqing, with whom you have a father-son bond, is under investigation and may face disaster. Sichuan old immortal's words made the celestial spirit god frown. He couldn't deny that he was indeed concerned about Tianhao. It was unclear whether it was because of Su Jin or due to chasing the supreme treasure of the immortal palace, delaying countless years. In any case, he would now and then visit the misty immortal court. However, for so many years he had never met Tianhao face to face, only watched silently. Sichuan old immortal continued, "Besides the Son of Heaven Xianqing, His Highness Shenyuan human venerable will also face difficulties, because the Son of Heaven Xianqing is within the 3,000 great worlds. With so many sons of heaven, the Supreme Son of Heaven chooses to settle accounts with Xianqing, clearly as an excuse, aiming at His Highness human venerable, but whether it's an excuse or not, it is a great trouble for both your highnesses, with no retreat." Knowing he was right, the celestial spirit god felt he couldn't shake the celestial court with his current power. He asked in a deep voice, "Please speak plainly, immortal monarch. What can I do? What should I do?" "Summon back the Son of Heaven Xianqing." When Sichuan old immortal said this, his gaze was firmly locked on the celestial spirit god. The celestial spirit god suddenly understood Sichuan old immortal's intention. He took a deep breath and said, "Is this His Highness' will, or the immortal monarch's intention? Does it matter?" "I understand. I will consider it." The celestial spirit god answered. He did not give a promise. Sichuan old immortal nodded, then turned to walk towards the world gate. Just as his figure was about to vanish in the strong light, his voice once again sounded, "This matter indeed puts you in a difficult position, but you should know, in the face of such authority, we have no choice. It is the only chance of survival." The strong light of the world gate flickered. After a while, it faded, and the celestial spirit god still stood in front of the world gate. He clenched his fists tightly, hesitating on whether to seek the primordial ancestor master. After contemplating a while, he decided to first make a trip to the human world. He needed to see someone. In the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, inside a palace, Guan sat in front of a small table sipping wine, while on the steps beside him, Ji Xiaoyu also had a small table in front of her, drinking with him. Besides fine wine, their tables were adorned with some snacks and fruits, exquisitely arranged. Guwen picked up a piece of cake, savoring it carefully. The fragrance entered his mouth, making him nod slightly. Ji Xiaoyu put down her cup, looked at Guwen and asked, "Did you come to find me for a simple chat?" Guwen glanced at her, annoyed. "What kind of talk is that? Have I ever troubled you when I came to find you in the past?" Ji Xiaoyu replied, "I'm not afraid you're bothering me, I'm just afraid you're here to help me. Don't meddle in this calamity of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, or things will change and the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance will veer off course." Guwen chuckled, shaking his head in amusement. "Don't laugh, your current status in the human world is quite special. If you support the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, it might become like a celestial court on earth, thriving perpetually, and internally become complacent, eventually causing trouble and harming all living beings." Ji Xiaoyu said, frowning seriously. Guwen helplessly replied, "I laugh because you underestimate me. Have I ever meddled in the human world's power struggles? Back at the Supreme Sect, I merely protected them from falling, but if the Supreme Sect had done evil and was sought out for revenge, I wouldn't have intervened either." Hearing this, Ji Xiaoyu smiled and didn't dwell on the issue any longer. Instead she asked, "What do you think of Guan Tianyu? This child's destiny is unparalleled. The timing of his birth is so coincidental, as if he were born to contend with the sons of heaven. Even when besieged by the sons of heaven's followers and driven to desperation, he can turn danger into safety and encounter great opportunities, truly astounding." She majored in the path of cause and effect, which made her perceive Guan Tianyu's birth as not simple. In her view, Guan Tianyu carried some kind of mission. What concerned her was what this mission represented, and what its purpose was. Guwen was just about to speak when a loud voice resounded from outside the palace. "Haven't seen for 100,000 years, how has the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance become even more miserable? It seems the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance can't hold on, why not surrender early to me?" This voice brimmed with dominance, mocking the decline of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, and its owner was none other than the Son of Heaven Jie Yan. Hearing this, Ji Xiaoyu looked at Guwen with a meaningful gaze. "Now, do you still deny your purpose for coming this time?" Guwen turned his head to look at her, chuckling softly. "If I hadn't come, perhaps you wouldn't escape this calamity. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 835. The creation of heaven and earth can't escape this calamity. Ji Xiaoyu was shocked by Guwen's words. According to her deductions, while Son of Heaven Jie Yan would indeed cause great trouble for the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, it shouldn't be enough to shake its foundations. She rarely intervened in the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance's affairs. If she needed to act, it would certainly be at a time of life and death for the Alliance. For a moment, countless speculations filled her mind. Could it be that Son of Heaven Jie Yan has enlisted other immortal gods? No matter how strong Son of Heaven Jie Yan is, he's still a reincarnated being having a mortal body like them. The reason he can stand against the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance is mainly due to wielding that divine sword. Guwen continued to savor the wine, enjoying the fine food and drink Ji Xiaoyu had prepared for him. After the voice of Son of Heaven Jie Yan fell silent, a surge of powerful auras rose outside the hall. No voices echoed into the palace, yet the great battle had already erupted. Guwen and Ji Xiaoyu began to watch the unfolding conflict. Ji Xiaoyu was already an innate golden immortal, but her true cultivation level was a secret, unknown within the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. From her perspective, Son of Heaven Jie Yan could not possibly win. The Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance currently had several heaven-encompassing free immortals stationed, with profound Yuan free immortals numbering over 100. There was no fear of the Son of Heaven. The Son of Heaven's foundation and forces were far inferior to the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. It was just that the Son of Heaven himself was formidable. With the divine sword in his hand, the current Son of Heaven Jie Yan could fight several heaven-encompassing free immortals without defeat, but that was as far as he could go. Where exactly is the problem? Ji Xiaoyu thought to herself, her gaze subconsciously turning to Guwen. She knew that if Guwen spoke such words, he certainly wasn't trying to scare her. Seeing that Guwen had no intention of elaborating further, Ji Xiaoyu chose not to ask more, trusting that an answer would soon present itself. After a while, Guwen asked, "You haven't answered me yet. How do you view Guan Tianyu? What is his origin?" Guwen looked at her, smiling. "Aren't there already many legends explaining it? Could he just be the child of heaven and earth? The creations of heaven and earth are far beyond your imagination. When cultivators grasp the power to destroy the heavens and the earth, they start to underestimate heaven and earth. You think heaven and earth can't have such marvelous creations, so you suspect Guan Tianyu must have a grander origin, isn't that right? Gu Wan's words led Ji Xiaoyu into deep thought, realizing she indeed harbored such a mindset. In her view, the celestial spirit great world shouldn't harbor such talent. Guan Tianyu's emergence must have been orchestrated by a more powerful entity. Guan continued, with 3,000 great Tao and infinite creations, all beings possess a sense of pride, thinking they can master everything and that they are unique, thus neglecting the heaven and earth that bore them. If beings are indeed the most wondrous of creations, then the heaven and earth nurturing them must operate on an even higher level. He spoke of his understanding. Though heaven and earth seem fragile, their creations are supreme. Even if a world turns to ashes, its creative force remains and will give birth to new worlds, though mortal spirits can't perceive this creation. Only a Tao extreme Daoyuo immortal can barely glimpse this omnipresent, immense creation imperceptible to mortal spirits. And surpassing a Daoyuo immortal, one can further perceive the creation of heaven and earth. Though the celestial spirit great world is weak, it remains a great thousand world that has existed for countless years. The creation it secretly harbors is beyond the imagination of all living beings, and the impending crisis from Son of Heaven Jie Yan's arrival has prompted it to bring about Guan Tianyu. Though Guan Tianyu is born of the human race, the mystic destiny of heaven and earth continually transforms him. To put it bluntly, unless a power surpassing the celestial spirit great world emerges, no one can slay Guan Tianyu within this world, not even if he wished to die. The creation of heaven and earth. Ji Xiaoyu was lost in contemplation. It seemed she had grasped something, quickly transitioning to a state of enlightenment, forgetting her own calamity. She could enter this state so swiftly not due to exceptional comprehension but because Guan enveloped her with his Tao intent, aiding her enlightenment. Guan watched Ji Xiaoyu with expectant eyes. He had many old friends and while he cherished them all emotionally in terms of potential, only Ji Xiaoyu could surpass and carve her own path, possibly even beyond what he foresaw. Moreover, Ji Xiaoyu held a competitive spirit towards him, desiring to surpass him, thus he eagerly anticipated her growth. He suddenly understood the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Emperor allowed immortal gods to act wantonly, allowed the dark heavenly court to grow, perhaps genuinely hoping for someone to challenge him. Upon reconsideration, Guan felt he had misunderstood. How could he empathize with the Celestial Emperor? He mustn't adopt such a mindset. He can look forward to others growing stronger, but mustn't consider himself the strongest. While Ji Xiaoyu was in enlightenment, Guan repeatedly instilled a notion in himself. He is not yet the strongest. There are stronger beings within the heavenly Tao. He wasn't thinking of the Celestial Emperor, but of an existence yet to appear. Much time passed. Ji Xiaoyu suddenly awoke, opening her eyes to find the celestial vault outside the hall had dimmed. She turned her head to see Guan had already risen, standing before a stone pillar, reading the inscriptions upon it. "I'm sorry Ji Xiaoyu began, but her words trailed off as she became captivated by Guan's silhouette. With his back to her and head raised, Guan emanated an inexplicable allure, a longing for the great Tao. Hearing her, Guan turned to her with a smile. "So, what did you comprehend earlier?" "I grasped some truths about the Tao of heaven and earth, thank you." Ji Xiaoyu earnestly replied. "Why thank me? I did nothing." "I understand." Ji Xiaoyu was well aware of her own comprehension. After countless years of meditation, such an opportunity for enlightenment was rare. It wasn't a coincidence that Guan's presence came with insights, clearly indicating his guidance. Just as Guan was about to speak, a gust of wind from outside swept in, billowing his black robe. Sitting at the table, Ji Xiaoyu narrowed her eyes, sensing a formidable aura approaching. Son of Heaven Jie Yan. Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She wasn't sure how long her enlightenment had lasted, but awakening to Son of Heaven Jie Yan's aggressive arrival shook her, while also instilling admiration for Guan. He had truly anticipated it. Soon, a beam of silver light shot into the hall, transforming into a human figure that landed and took 3 steps forward before stopping. It was indeed Son of Heaven Jie Yan, disheveled, wielding a silver divine sword. His robes were blood-stained, clearly just emerging from a brutal battle. Son of Heaven Jie Yan glanced at Ji Xiaoyu, then at the divine sword in his hand, which was vibrating. Unexpectedly drawn to this woman, Could she harbor some powerful great Tao creation? Son of Heaven Jie Yen was silently surprised. Raising his eyes to Ji Xiaoyu, he asked, "Which alliance hierarch of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance are you?" Following his gaze to Guan, his eyebrows furrowed slightly. Guan stood beside the stone pillar, observing him, yet Son of Heaven Jie Yen couldn't discern Guan's cultivation level. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 836. Guan looked at Son of Heaven Ji Yen, his eyes filled with mockery, making Son of Heaven Ji Yen very uncomfortable. However, with the divine sword in hand, Son of Heaven Ji Yen was not panicked. The divine sword he held was of great origin, capable of devouring the true meaning of the great Tao and enhancing sword intent. Of course, this sword could only absorb the true meaning of the great Tao cultivated by immortal cultivators, not the great Tao itself. He came to this palace as led by the divine sword in his hand, attracted by the presence of Ji Xiaoyu. Son of Heaven Ji Yen looked at Ji Xiaoyu again, waiting for her response. Ji Xiaoyu could feel the malicious intent in his sword, yet she did not panic, for Guan was also here. She was more curious now. Could this child rely on the sword to take her life? She trusted Guan's judgment, just curious how this sword would kill her. "My name is Ji Xiaoyu. May I know why the Son of Heaven has come to me?" Ji Xiaoyu asked, her tone indifferent, her gaze calm. Her composure confused Son of Heaven Ji Yen, making him ask, "Since you know I am the Son of Heaven, why don't you take action? Why have I never seen you in the previous great battles?" "Because I dislike fighting," Ji Xiaoyu replied. This remark made Guan laugh. In the past, Ji Xiaoyu was a battle maniac on the path of the great Tao, and she still wished to have a good fight with him. Ji Xiaoyu glanced at him, making him immediately retract his smile. Son of Heaven Ji Yen raised his sword, the blade pointed at Ji Xiaoyu and said, "Your companions were lured away by my avatar. No one will come to save you. It's just your fate to become my sword intent since you possess great destiny." As he spoke, his wrist twisted, and the sword blade rotated, unleashing a terrifying sword intent that rushed towards Ji Xiaoyu. Boom! The small table before Ji Xiaoyu turned to ashes, her robe billowed, her black hair flew, yet her eyebrows did not furrow nor did she blink. Son of Heaven Ji Yan's pupils contracted. Following his gaze, there was an additional figure in front of the steps. It was Guan. Guan stood sidewise to Son of Heaven Ji Yen, blocking his sword intent. The vast sword intent caused Guan's robes to flutter continuously, his hair floated up, but it could not shake his posture. Son of Heaven Ji Yen frowned and asked, "Who are you?" His heart surged with vigilance towards Guan, who seemed casual in his actions, but the sword intent he emitted was serious, and his moves were lethal. Guan glanced at Son of Heaven Ji Yen and said, "Even with me here, you should have precaution." Ji Xiaoyu's lips slightly curved upward and she said, "You said I couldn't escape my fate. I am certainly no match for him. I can't let you come here for nothing." As the two conversed as if alone, Son of Heaven Ji Yan's eyes turned cold, and he immediately intensified his sword intent, causing the entire palace to tremble. Unfortunately, no matter how much he heightened his sword intent, he could not threaten Guan, and he felt as if facing the great Tao, and no matter how much mana or sword intent he used, the great Tao could swallow his attack. This feeling sank his heart. After a few seconds, Son of Heaven Ji Yen sheathed his sword. Guan turned to him, eyes falling on the sword in his hand. "This sword is extraordinary, crafted by a Xian Qi primordial immortal, who is also among the Celestial Tao Venerable ranks. Indeed, Celestial Tao Venerables would support a Son of Heaven. Every Son of Heaven capable of causing trouble had a backing." "Just who are you?" Son of Heaven Ji Yen asked in a deep voice, certain he was no match for the other. Peak the Celestial Spirit Great World still hides such characters. Could he be from Wuxia? But Wuxia wouldn't engage in worldly conflicts. Guan replied, "Son of Heaven, you may undergo your trials, but don't be too hasty or use rule-breaking powers." Upon hearing this, Son of Heaven Ji Yan's face turned grim. He was about to speak when Guan's voice rang out, "Considering his favor, I won't kill you, but I will punish you slightly." With that, Guan suddenly swung his sleeve, and a fierce wind rose from the ground, rushing towards Son of Heaven Ji Yen. Everything happened too quickly for Son of Heaven Ji Yen to react. With a boom, he was thrown out like a beam of cold light rushing out of the palace. A terrifying force enveloped him, preventing him from steadying himself, sensing the scenery around him changing rapidly. He flew out of the little world, crashed through mountains, crossed rivers and passed through clouds. His worldview shook violently. He collided against mountains, one after another, causing his chi blood to churn, his body unpleasant, forcing him to grit his teeth and tightly grip the sword in his hand. Sar the Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After a while he crashed into an incredibly solid mountain, bringing him to a halt, chi blood surging, a mouthful of reverse blood sprayed out. He felt all the mana within him dissipate. The world before him stopped shaking, becoming clear, and ahead lay a vast prairie, blue skies, white clouds, and a cloud sea split into two halves, seemingly cut by a sharp sword. He was embedded into an incredibly majestic mountain, appearing like a heavenly wall compared to the mountains on either side, smooth mountain walls with little flora but dense forests atop. This mountain stood at least 10,000 feet tall, utterly magnificent. Son of Heaven Ji Yen was horrified to find he could not rise. An unimaginable invisible force pressed him, unable even to shatter the mountain behind. In 500 years, you will be able to free yourself. You can see how people will speak of you 500 years later. Gu Wan's voice reached his ears, causing his expression to turn fearful. You can't do this, Son of Heaven Ji Yen gritted his teeth, finally roaring in anger. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world. In the palace, Gu Wan's robe was still fluttering. Ji Xiaoyu stood up, looked into the distance and asked, "What is that mountain? Why haven't I seen it before?" Gu Wan retracted his sleeves, turned to her and smiled, "Just built for him." Ji Xiaoyu was secretly astonished. She could also create a mountain, but doing so like Gu Wan while simultaneously taking action and creating a mountain without causing much commotion was beyond her ability. Sealing Son of Heaven Ji Yen with a single mountain, the power contained within was unimaginable. 500 years is an imitation of your Sun Wukong novel, isn't it? Ji Xiaoyu asked, clearly teasing yet asking seriously. Gu Wan laughed, just came to mind. He turned and walked toward the palace door. Aren't you afraid of trouble? Ji Xiaoyu pursued. 500 years later, Son of Heaven Ji Yen might cause greater trouble upon his return. Without looking back, Gu Wan replied, "He doesn't count as trouble in my eyes. You said you wouldn't involve yourself in worldly struggles. Would this be considered an exception?" Faced with Ji Xiaoyu's inquiry, Gu Wan did not answer, quickly disappearing from the hall. Ji Xiaoyu sat down again, her gaze towards the distance. She could see many great powers across the world flying towards the mountain ceiling Son of Heaven Ji Yen. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 837. Heavenly Suppressing Heroic Peak. The Son of Heaven Ji Yen has been suppressed. This news was like a bombshell shaking the world. The speed at which it spread was unprecedented. All beings thought that a catastrophe was imminent, but unexpectedly the Son of Heaven was suppressed. Without the Son of Heaven's forces were far from enough to shake the foundation of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. Various forces began to investigate the news and dispatched cultivators to verify its authenticity. The giant peak suppressing the Son of Heaven Ji Yen also got a name, known as the Heavenly Suppressing Heroic Peak. Not even half a day after the Son of Heaven Ji Yen was suppressed, a great cultivator arrived nearby. In the days that followed, more and more cultivators came. His subordinates also came to see him, even trying to rescue him, but unfortunately no matter what methods they used, they couldn't pull him out of the mountain wall or destroy the Heavenly Suppressing Heroic Peak. He became a joke of the world, his pride crushed. He had undergone many reincarnations, all successful before, smoothly sailing in each life, never finding himself in such a predicament even when facing strong enemies. Not only was he humiliated by his enemies, but he also lost hope of victory. Coming to the Celestial Spirit Great World, he felt unprecedented difficulties. The Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance was too tenacious for him to defeat quickly. Now he was encountered by Ancestor Master Wuxia, who would suppress him for 500 years. 500 years. The force he had built single-handedly would surely be uprooted by the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. He didn't reveal that he was only suppressed for 500 years, not because he didn't trust Ancestor Master Wuxia, but because he feared the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance would be ruthless. Moreover, he wanted to see how his recruited subordinates and the people viewed him. On the mountain wall, the Son of Heaven Ji Yen hung his head, his white hair scattered like dried grass, motionless as if already dead. At this moment, his heart was filled with anger and unwillingness. He resented everything, resented Ancestor Master Wuxia, and resented himself. He could be sure that his suppressor was Ancestor Master Wuxia. Only Ancestor Master Wuxia had such skill. He hated himself for overly relying on his sword. Despite things feeling off at the time, he still attacked the female alliance leader. The son of heaven Jie Yan's mood grew increasingly gloomy. In the distance, a group of great cultivators from the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance watched him from afar, their brows furrowed, not laughing openly like other cultivators. Although he's been suppressed, we simply cannot kill him. Over time, his hatred towards the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance will only deepen. Indeed, but who exactly suppressed him? Does the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance hide a presence we're unaware of? He was struck from Alliance leader Jai's little world, perhaps we could ask her. Though he's an enemy, watching him humiliated like this, I can't help but feel uneasy. True, although his actions are domineering, the Son of Heaven Jie Yan conducts himself with honesty and integrity, never hiding his intent in battles. The great cultivators discussed, though their words showed sympathy for the Son of Heaven Jie Yan, what they hoped for was his death. Every day thereafter, beings came to observe, looking at the Son of Heaven Jie Yan's plight. Most were merely astounded, curious, without deeper thoughts. There were various theories about who had suppressed the Son of Heaven Jie Yan. Most believed there was a hidden master in the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance because the Son of Heaven was suppressed after causing a commotion there. Some mentioned Ancestor Master Wuxia, but there was no direct evidence, and Ancestor Master Wuxia never involved himself in internal conflicts of heaven and earth. 500 years in the past seemed brief for the Son of Heaven Jie Yan, but now it felt endlessly tormenting. 200 years later, the Son of Heaven Jie Yan remained embedded against the heavenly suppressing heroic peak, covered in dust and leaves, remnants of 200 years of wind and rain. Compared to 200 years ago, the area was no longer as lively, and the Son of Heaven Jie Yan's mindset had recovered somewhat, becoming numb. No matter what, before regaining freedom, his anger would only harm himself. Near midday, as the scorching sun shone down, sunlight cast on him, faint white mist began to rise from within him. Suddenly, a pebble fell from above, rolled down the mountain wall, hitting the Son of Heaven Jie Yan's head. The Son of Heaven Jie Yan remained unresponsive. He didn't move at all. At this moment, a shabby-clothed boy lay at the edge of the cliff above, cautiously peering downwards, but below were layers of clouds and mist, making it impossible to see any trace of living beings. The shabby-clothed boy appeared to be only 15 or 16 years old, dressed in ordinary robes, face dirty, yet his eyes were lively and spirited. "Where is the Son of Heaven?" the shabby-clothed boy muttered, scanning his gaze around, but unfortunately he couldn't find the Son of Heaven, nor even a sparrow. He sat up and started to pant. Climbing the heavenly suppressing heroic peak took him 10 whole days, his provisions and water long gone. Not only that, it took him 3 years to reach the heavenly suppressing heroic peak. Sir the Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In those 3 years he faced hardships, almost washed away by river waters, almost eaten by demons, and even captured by bandits who wanted to offer him as a sacrifice to demon cultivators. As his excitement faded, unease began to set in. If the legend of the Son of Heaven was false, wouldn't he have come for nothing? He wasn't afraid of the journey back. He feared disappointing the people of his village. The more he thought, the more he was afraid, finally hugging his knees and burying his face. After an entire hour, he managed to regain his spirit, standing up, patting his face, then walking to the edge of the cliff to look down at the cloud sea below. "Son of Heaven!" he shouted using all his strength. Though his voice was loud, in this vast world it didn't carry far. Distant cultivators observing the Son of Heaven Jie Yan heard it, but paid no attention. Carrying on, the shabby-clothed boy repeatedly called the Son of Heaven's name, his voice growing hoarse. Hundreds of times later, his voice began to rasp, his legs trembled. Finally he collapsed to the ground, coughing violently. "Mortal child, why do you call me?" A voice entered the shabby-clothed boy's ear, causing him to joyfully raise his head and scramble up. "Son of Heaven, where are you?" The shabby-clothed boy endured the pain in his throat and asked. "I am beneath the cliff. Only by jumping can you see me." The Son of Heaven Jie Yan's voice was indifferent, devoid of emotion. The shabby-clothed boy immediately approached the edge, looking down at the cloud ocean below, unable to see the land, resembling a boundless abyss. "I wish to seek immortal cultivation. If successful, I'll find a way to rescue you. Can you teach me immortal cultivation?" The shabby-clothed boy asked through gritted teeth, but unfortunately this time he received no response. He continued to inquire, but the Son of Heaven Jie Yan remained silent. After hesitating for a long time, the shabby-clothed boy finally gritted his teeth and chose to jump off the cliff. Embedded against the mountain wall, the the son of heaven Jie Yen hung his head, as the shabby-clothed boy fell past him, stirring his hair, yet he still didn't move. The scene returned to silence as if the shabby-clothed boy had never come. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 838. The change in the emperor's heart. The people do not know how many years the son of heaven Jie Yen will be suppressed, nor does the heavenly spirit Tao Alliance understand, but they will not let such a good opportunity pass. They begin to launch a massive eradication of the son of heaven's forces. The forces painstakingly established by the son of heaven were completely shattered within 300 years. In addition to the suppression by the heavenly spirit Tao Alliance, internal conflicts also emerged, accelerating its demise. The disaster brought by the Son of Heaven thus dispersed, and the celestial spirit great world returned to peace again. Because they could do nothing about the suppressed Son of Heaven Jie Yen, the heavenly spirit Tao Alliance could only focus on cultivating disciples. Over the centuries they recruited countless talents in the human world, with more and more prodigies emerging. A blink of an eye. The Son of Heaven Jie Yen has been suppressed for 487 years, getting closer to breaking free. During these years, days felt like years for him, and the closer he got to the 500-year mark, the more anxious he became. He feared that the ancestor Master Wuxia might not keep his promise. After all, he did not understand the ancestor Master Wuxia. Before the ancestor Master Wuxia took action, he could not even be sure that the counterpart was indeed the ancestor Master Wuxia. Why is it 500 years? There was only this thought in the mind of the Son of Heaven Jie Yen. 500 years was insignificant to the grand scheme of things, and for him, it would not make much of a difference. Even if his forces were destroyed, he could start over at most. At least he would not fall into an irremediable situation. Being suppressed for so long, the Son of Heaven Jie Yen felt that there was some calculation behind this 500-year period. At this time, the sound of thunder came from the sky, and the world quickly darkened. Soon, a torrential rain fell like a waterfall washing over the Son of Heaven Jie Yen. Outside the heavens, in front of the world gate, two figures stood side by side, overlooking the Son of Heaven Jie Yen within the celestial spirit great world. They were the celestial spirit god and Tianhao. Tianhao was dressed in a golden-patterned white robe, exuding an imposing aura, with his long hair coiled on top of his head, full of arrogance and a complex, profound golden dharma aspect floating behind him. Has your original memory been restored? The celestial spirit god opened his mouth to ask. The two stood together looking more like brothers than father and son. Tianhao answered, "It hasn't been fully restored, but I know this Son of Heaven, his name is Jie Yen. Whether in power or cultivation level, he is far beyond my reach." His eyes were complicated. He already knew that the Son of Heaven Jie Yen was suppressed by Guan. In the celestial court, the Son of Heaven Jie Yen was glorious and was an existence he looked up to. Although he had once received the favor of the celestial emperor, it was short-lived. He hadn't truly grown before being cast into reincarnation. However, thinking of the recent struggles in the celestial court, he felt that the Son of Heaven Jie Yen might have turned misfortune into fortune, possibly escaping a disaster. Tianhao glanced at the celestial spirit god and asked, "Did you inform my master of my return in advance?" In this lifetime he already understood his identity, but with the memories of many lifetimes, he could not bring himself to call the celestial spirit god father. Only the celestial emperor was worthy of such a title. The celestial spirit god did not dare to hope for a father-son relationship, so he didn't mind his attitude. I informed him and he agreed. The celestial spirit god replied. Speaking of this matter, there was a hint of emotion in his heart. He underestimated the ancestor Master Wuxi's affection for Tianhao. Even when facing the threat of the celestial court, the ancestor Master Wuxia was willing to protect Tianhao. To ease the relationship with the celestial court, the ancestor Master Wuxia sent his own disciple into the celestial court, and the painstakingly established relationship might be severed because of this. The Son of Heaven Tai Shang, who ruled over the celestial court, was not someone Yang Jian or the Eternal Life Venerable could control. One could even say whether the Eternal Life Venerable could persist in the presence of the Son of Heaven Tai Shang was still an unknown. Hearing the celestial spirit god's answer, Tianhao breathed a sigh of relief, then both fell into silence. After a long while, the celestial spirit god took the initiative to speak. Go to the human world to find a place to cultivate. All right. Tianhao then disappeared from the spot. The celestial spirit god looked in the direction of the celestial spirit great world, a smile appearing on his face. Although the crisis pressure brought by the celestial court was immense, the people he cared about were right before him. This was happiness for him. On the other side, Guan was teaching Su Han to practice sword techniques within the Taoist field of the beginningless. The two stood in the peach blossom forest, where the sight of fallen peach blossoms scattered on the ground made for a vivid and beautiful scenery. Curiously, Su Han asked, "Ancestor, the 500-year period is approaching. If that Son of Heaven starts to bring calamity to the human world again, what should be done?" When the news of the Son of Heaven being suppressed reached within the beginningless, he immediately sought out Guan. Guan did not hide anything and told him the truth, which excited him for a long time. Though Su Han was a bit jumpy, he kept his mouth shut tight. The information he gathered from Guan would not be spread out, not even to Zhen Qin, which was why Guan was willing to continue telling him things. Although he has a strong sense of purpose and doesn't concern himself much with all living beings as the Son of Heaven, he has his pride. He wouldn't deliberately bring calamity to the populace. Guan replied softly while swinging the wooden sword in his hand, patting it on Su Han's waist. Su Han quickly adjusted his posture and continued practicing the sword techniques. He was secretly amazed. He was not an ordinary person, yet practicing sword techniques in an ordinary way brought great results. With casual pointers from the ancestor, he gained not only sword techniques but also sword intent and understanding of sword Tao. It was truly incredible. Su Han was even thinking, would even the most mediocre person become a genius by cultivating under the ancestor? Thus, Su Han began to concentrate on practicing his sword techniques. Though he might seem carefree, he was very aware. All the Wuxia disciples envied his treatment. The ancestor, while scolding him, actually cared a lot for him. Even if it was for the ancestor, he must strive to succeed. Listening to Su Han's inner voice, the corner of Guan's mouth lifted slightly and he softly said, "At last, you have a bit of his demeanor." "His demeanor? Ancestor, who are you talking about?" Su Han turned around to ask, full of curiosity. Guan gave him a look, exasperatedly saying, "Just praised you and you're distracted again." Su Han's eyes twinkled, asking, "Are you talking about Uncle and Hao? I heard that he's your most beloved disciple." Guan calmly said, "Not an Hao but a disciple named Su Han. Your master named you Su Han because she had a deceased senior brother." Hearing this, Su Han's eyes widened and he quickly inquired, "Another Su Han? Why didn't my master tell me? Can you tell me about him?" Believing the time was right, Guan began to tell Su Han's story. Listening while practicing sword techniques, Su Han's mood became heavy because the life of that Su Han was indeed very bitter. However, upon hearing that Su Han took a wrongful path, he couldn't help but frown. He did not agree with Su Han's choices. Once Guan finished, Su Han fell into silence. Guan asked, after hearing his story, "What do you think?" Su Han took a deep breath and said, "If he hadn't been blinded by hatred and focused on cultivating under you, it wouldn't have come to such a pass. Do you think he did the right thing?" Search * the novel under at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Of course not, he owed you a debt of gratitude until his death. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 839, The Path of the Celestial Emperor. Guan heard Su Han's words and couldn't help but shake his head with a smile. If this boy knew that the person he was criticizing was himself, what would his reaction be? Thinking of this, Guan actually looked forward to it a little. "Alright, practice your sword well. I will accompany you a little longer, then I have to go out," Guan said seriously, restraining his smile. Su Han looked at him and curiously asked, "Ancestor, you often go out. Where do you go and can you take me with you just once?" Guan pretended to be mysterious, saying, "I have thousands of incarnations in the human world, and I have many identities to continue with. I cannot take you with me, it would disrupt the path of trial. Perhaps when you go out for trials in the future you might encounter me, but you will definitely not recognize me." These words gave Su Han goosebumps. He didn't doubt his ancestor's words and began to recall his past. Had he met his ancestor during his travels in the human world? He subconsciously looked up, just in time to meet Guan's meaningful gaze, and couldn't help but shiver. Guan raised his wooden sword and continued to correct Su Han's sword technique, forcing him to withdraw his gaze. The mundane days continued. Su Han practiced cultivation every day. Although he did not experience any major upheavals, he did not find it boring at all. In the simplicity of life, being able to continuously grow stronger was what he considered the most blissful life. As time went by, the 500-year period of Son of Heaven Jie finally arrived. On this day the weather was clear, and the celestial vault was cloudless for miles. Son of Heaven Jie, embedded in the mountain wall, suddenly began to loosen, then leaned forward, plummeting with a dozen pieces of broken rock, shattering through the sea of clouds. The fierce wind howled in his ears as Son of Heaven Jie's eyes opened, his muddy eyes gradually brightening. Boom! He crashed at the foot of the mountain, his feet shattering the ground and the mountain wall behind, dust swirling like rings as he half knelt on the ground, one hand supporting on the ground. His body began to tremble and the dirt on his face started to crack, peeling off into pieces of dust. He slowly stood up, looking at his own hands, a wild joy appearing on his face. "It's really over," Son of Heaven Jie said tremulously, his voice hoarse. He had often suspected that Ancestor Master Wuxia was toying with him, which is why he was now unusually elated, more excited than when he became the lord of a realm in his previous life. His resentment towards Ancestor Master Wuxia had completely vanished. Thinking about it now, he wanted to kill Ancestor Master Wuxia, yet Ancestor Master Wuxia only suppressed him for 500 years. The punishment was too light. If it were him, he would never be so merciful. Of course, the most important is that he dared not provoke Ancestor Master Wuxia. If he could convince himself, he could live more at ease in the future. He took a deep breath, trying hard to calm his emotions. Suddenly, his gaze was drawn to a pile of white bones not far away. The skeleton was broken, scattered in the soil, and with just one look, he recognized the identity of those bones. It was the ragged-clothed boy who had called him from the mountaintop back then. As his cultivation level rapidly recovered, Son of Heaven Jie also regained his ability to piece together past events. He looked at those bones and began to deduce the past of the ragged-clothed boy. That village of the ragged-clothed boy was oppressed by the demon cultivators, who occasionally let demons into the village to wreak havoc, causing unbearable suffering. He escaped with the hope of the entire village, but his talent was too poor, and no immortal cultivation sect was willing to accept him. By chance, he heard the legend of the Son of Heaven being suppressed and came all the way to find the heavenly suppressing heroic peak. Such experiences are not uncommon in the mortal world. But for some reason, Son of Heaven Jie felt inexplicably irritable at this moment. Ancestor Master Wuxia promised to suppress him for 500 years, and it was just 500 years, but those who sought him ended up in a tragically broken state. Images floated before his eyes, of the ragged-clothed boy's expression while listening to other low-tier cultivators talking about the legend of the Son of Heaven. That boy's face was full of longing and aspiration. Although the Son of Heaven was suppressed, in his heart the Son of Heaven was very powerful. It was just Ancestor Master Wuxia honing him. He even believed that the Son of Heaven could end the dark era he was living in. World peace is only the big picture. For people suffering in hardship, the human world is hell. That's why the ragged-clothed boy placed his hopes upon him. Son of Heaven Jie could distinguish whether those who turned to him and demons were sincere. Rarely did anyone truly believe that he could bring a better future to this human world like the ragged-clothed boy did. "Have you gained anything over these 500 years? A voice reached Son of Heaven Jie's ears, startling him to look around. His gaze focused on a giant rock to the south where a white-robed man stood, figure as firm as a peak, face blurry. Ancestor Master Wuxia. Son of Heaven Jie instinctively became cautious, but then he realized that if Ancestor Master Wuxia wanted to harm him, he would have no power to resist. He calmed down, thought for a moment and said, "Yes, perhaps I overlooked the hearts of all living beings. In the future you can still do whatever you want and I won't stop you. But if you encounter disciples I care about, I will still intervene. Son of Heaven, you've reincarnated through the red dust for countless lifetimes. Is there anyone you truly care about? For whom do you truly fight?" After Guan's voice fell, his figure disappeared. Son of Heaven Jie did not leave immediately, his expression changing unpredictably, his gaze involuntarily drawn to the pile of bones. In the course of reincarnation, life after life, he felt as though he had perhaps lost his way. Which path was truly that of a celestial emperor? His father gave him no hints, letting him find it himself in reincarnation. Gradually, he grew stronger to become the ruler of the human world and forgot to reflect whether his path was the right one. Is conquest really the only way to unify the world? Son of Heaven Jie stood motionless, closing his eyes. Leaves drifted before him, the sun set and the moon rose, day after day. A few days later, cultivators who came to observe discovered that the Son of Heaven had already escaped, causing panic, and they immediately left to proclaim the news everywhere. More and more cultivators came to confirm the incident, and soon they discovered the figure of Son of Heaven Jie Yen. Seeing Son of Heaven Jie Yen standing on the ground, the cultivators were very nervous. As time continued to pass, the number of cultivators near the heavenly suppressing heroic peak increased, and the great cultivators of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance also arrived, even starting to array themselves. Months later, snow fell with a flake landing on the head of Son of Heaven Jie Yen. He slowly looked up at the celestial vault, his eyes full of flying snow. Standing around the 8 directions were large flags as tall as the heavenly suppressing heroic peak, all embroidered with various divine beast emblems. Whichever direction he looked, figures of the great cultivators of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance could be seen. From above, the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance had already set up a net of heaven and earth, leaving Son of Heaven Jie Yen nowhere to escape. So the novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Son of Heaven Jie Yen gazed at the celestial vault, the snow growing heavier, obscuring his vision. In each snowflake in his eyes were reflected scenes, the lives of different people, those he met in past and present lives, many only brief encounters. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 840. No chance of winning. The news of the Son of Heaven's escape spread quickly, like a whirlwind sweeping across the land. As soon as the news reached Wuxia, Su-Han went to find Guan. Ancestor, I've heard that the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance has already surrounded the Son of Heaven. Yet, the sun doesn't leave the heavenly suppressing heroic peak. He stands at the foot of the mountain, covered by snow, without moving an inch. What is he trying to do? Su-Han looked at Guan, who was sitting on the steps, and asked curiously. Guan was carving a bamboo sword and casually replied, "The mind resides within the chest. Who knows what he's thinking if he doesn't speak?" Su-Han wanted to ask more, but Guan glanced at him and said, "You seem quite idle. Would you like me to arrange some tasks for you?" Upon hearing this, Su-Han's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, "What tasks?" Being able to do something for Ancestor made him happy, and he was even somewhat impatient. "Return to the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance and check on your grandfather. He's recently encountered some troubles." Guan replied, saying this as he blew away the bamboo shavings from the sword and then handed the bamboo sword to Su-Han. "Take it to your grandfather." Su-Han took the sword and frowned, asking, "Ancestor, what trouble has my grandfather encountered?" "You'll know once you return." Guan did not reveal any information, which made Su-Han even more anxious. He immediately performed a ritual before turning away. After Su-Han departed, Guan stood up, stretched lazily, and raised his hand to catch a falling bamboo leaf. As he held the bamboo leaf, his thoughts drifted. The matter concerning the Son of Heaven Jie Yen temporarily came to an end. The reason for enlightening the Son of Heaven Jie Yen was because Guan discovered something peculiar while deducing Jie Yan's reincarnation path. It was a fortune too obscure to describe. The path to sainthood. The Son of Heaven Jie Yen seemed to be walking the path of the Celestial Emperor, but he wasn't. The road he walked was guided by the Celestial Emperor, which indicated that the Celestial Emperor was also seeking the path to sainthood. What exactly is a saint? Besides breakthroughs in cultivation realm, Guan believes that one also needs breakthroughs in Tao heart. How to make a breakthrough in Tao heart enlightenment? Or like the Tao fruit, generate one's own power? Guan stood there and began to ponder. The Fire. Website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The heavens and earth alternated between light and shadow, the seasons changed, and it wasn't until the spring of the next year that he regained his senses. He only grasped a bit of sensation, unable to fully comprehend it for the time being, so he could only set it aside. He still had to harvest the mature medicinal herbs. He wondered if relying on lifespan to constantly enhance cultivation techniques could lead to the discovery of the Holy Tao. Anyway, with lifespan still accumulating, Guan wasn't anxious. Once he had sufficient lifespan, he would focus on crazily improving both cultivation techniques and physique. When these two conditions reached their peak, they would inevitably bring him surprises. Guan turned and walked into the bamboo forest, where the sunlight was bright and the celestial vault was magnificent, just like this world, always in tranquility. Time flew by like a shuttle, and years passed like arrows. 1,000 years passed. The human world remained peaceful after the Son of Heaven Jie Yen left the seal of the heavenly suppressing heroic peak. Initially, the people of the world worried that he would again cause upheaval, but as time went on, they gradually forgot about the Son of Heaven Jie Yen. Without the threat of the Son of Heaven, the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance reconsolidated its ruling position, vigorously developing beyond the heavens, exploring other great thousand worlds, and the celestial spirit great world seemed to enter a period of rapid development again. In that year, heavenly suppressing heroic peak saw heavy snow again, blanketing the world in a vast whiteness. At the foot of the mountain, the tattered clothes of the Son of Heaven Jie-yen leaned against the mountain wall. Beside him lay a reconstructed skeleton, also in a sitting posture. Looking in the direction towards which the Son of Heaven Jie-yen faced, a silhouette could be seen walking towards him amidst the vast snow, faintly gleaming with golden light. As the figure approached, he revealed his true form. Was Tianhao. He still exuded that impressive demeanor, with Dharma aspect apparent behind him, resembling a divine monarch descended from heaven. Tianhao looked at the current state of the Son of Heaven Jie-yen with a gaze filled with peculiar colors, stopping 10 feet away to look at him. The aura of the Son of Heaven, I wonder which imperial brother has arrived. The Son of Heaven Jie-yen said without opening his eyes, his tone calm. Tianhao replied, if it's a matter of the identity of the Son of Heaven, I am called Shenqing. Upon hearing this, the Son of Heaven Jie-yen opened his eyes, his gaze cold, examining Tianhao and mockingly said, Emperor Shenqing? Can't recall how long ago it was when I heard the news that Father, while training in the human world, also birthed another prince, a rare innate immortal god favored by the celestial Tao destiny. Father took him to the celestial court, showering him with great love. Alas, this son did not cherish it and actually criticized Father's political governance, leading to being cast into reincarnation, never to reincarnate. Upon seeing you today, indeed, Father loves doing things that contradict his words. He's even left you a path. Tianhao's expression remained calm as he spoke. Father has also left you a path. In fact, he's left a path for every son of heaven. Some can see it clearly and strive diligently, while others cannot and perish in resentment. The Son of Heaven Jie-yen closed his eyes again. Tianhao cast a glance at the skeleton beside the Son of Heaven Jie-yen, immediately seeing through the past of that skeleton, making his expression softer. Tai Shang wants to eradicate us. Tianhao spoke again. The Son of Heaven Jie-yen's brows furrowed momentarily, then relaxed. The dark heavenly court invaded the heavenly Tao. Tai Shang successfully led the defense and defeated the strongest presence of the dark heavenly court, gaining Father's approval. He's now in control of the celestial court's power, possibly eradicating sons of heaven who haven't pledged loyalty to him, making him the closest to the position of the celestial emperor. Tianhao continued speaking, his expression unchanged. The Son of Heaven Jie-yen snorted coldly, even those sons of heaven who pledge loyalty to him will be eradicated. Father once told me that Tai Shang is the most like him, the most suitable son of heaven to become the celestial emperor. Father has no siblings living. Tianhao said, since we've both come to the celestial spirit great world, we're linked by fate. Let's join forces. Your reincarnation trial should be concluded. During your years in reincarnation, significant changes have occurred in the celestial court. The Son of Heaven Jie-yen remained silent, no longer responding. Tianhao didn't continue speaking but instead stood there waiting. The snow kept falling continuously as if wanting to bury the entire heaven and earth. After a long time, the Son of Heaven Jie-yen opened his eyes, his body leaned slightly forward, and he looked at Tianhao and said, there is no chance of victory. His power is already unbeatable. Now in possession of the celestial court's power, he will surely absorb the celestial Tao destiny. Facing him leads to no good outcome. Even with a powerful presence like Ancestor Master Wuxia assisting us, there would be no chance of victory. Perhaps Ancestor Master Wuxia foresaw the current situation long ago, which is why he distanced himself from the celestial court. Tianhao stared at the Son of Heaven Jie-yen and asked, no chance of victory, so sit and wait for death? Calmly seek enlightenment, and fleeing into chaos someday might be a path to life. I never expected the once unyielding Son of Heaven Jie-yen to fear Tai Shang like this. Tianhao mocked him, his tone filled with disdain. The Son of Heaven Jie-yen stared at him eerily saying, kid, even if you find Father, you might not be able to turn the tide. Do you know why Father delegated power to him? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 841. Sweeping across the heavens? What do you mean, are you saying he already has the power to rival Father? Tianhao frowned and asked, his tone suddenly turning colder. After regaining his memories, his feelings for the celestial emperor returned to their original state, filled with resentment and dissatisfaction, but undeniably, the Celestial Emperor was the most powerful existence in his heart. Even his master Guan could not compare. Guan secluded himself here, surely with some unspeakable secret. While the Celestial Emperor is high above, overlooking all beings, none can shake his dominion. Son of Heaven Jie remained unfazed and replied, "You don't understand Father enough. Before Tai Shang, no Son of Heaven had wielded the power of the Celestial Court. If Father gets angry, even the Celestial Tao Venerable would be stripped of the immortal position, falling into the red dust would be minor, and in worse cases both body and soul would perish. How could Tian Hao not know the Celestial Emperor's dominance? After all, he too has fallen into the mortal realm. If not for encountering Master Guan, he felt he would still have to undergo countless reincarnations, not knowing where the end lies. There are not few sons of heaven like him. Within all heavens and myriad realms, many sons of heaven rise and fall, not to mention the errant immortal gods. The thought of the number of heavenly court immortals brings an immense pressure upon Tian Hao. They not only have to face the Son of Heaven Tai Shang, but also the entirety of the Celestial Court's power. If Tai Shang truly has power not inferior to the Celestial Emperor, then they indeed have no chance of victory. The two fell into silence once more. Son of Heaven Jie closed his eyes again, continuing his enlightenment. Tian Hao turned around, preparing to leave, but just as he was halfway turned, he suddenly asked, "Are you staying here because of that mortal child?" "I am only contemplating the true path I should take. Since you and I are brothers, let me advise you. If you cannot resist Tai Shang, why not distance yourself from the Celestial Court, spend the remaining time on enlightenment, perhaps when you find your own road, you will see a path to life." Son of Heaven Jie replied with his eyes closed, his tone more gentle than before. Tian Hao gave him a meaningful look, then turned and left, heading back the way he came, soon disappearing into the vast white snow. The snow continued falling, landing on Son of Heaven Jie. Day by day, Son of Heaven Jie was buried by the snow, merging with the world as one. The internal strife of the Celestial Court did not affect the 3,000 great worlds, where their own stories were unfolding. This year, a peerless genius emerged on the path of the great Tao, cultivating both as a Taoist emperor and a primordial Tao emperor. When the unbeaten emperor ancestor from the primordial emperor domain visited Guan, he mentioned this genius, saying that in his lifetime he had never seen such a formidable genius. Even in the primordial emperor domain, it was absolutely unprecedented in history. The two of them were having tea in an inn on the Nine-Spirit continent, and the unbeaten emperor ancestor was endlessly talking about that genius, while Guan listened with interest like hearing a story. The nearby tables of guests were also drawn to the unbeaten emperor ancestor's words. The terms coming out of this old man's mouth sounded quite formidable. As for Guan, they were not too curious. Even if the Nine-Spirit continent was shrouded by a dojo, few had seen Guan's true appearance. Emperor Xin has already declared that he wants to challenge all the strong of the 3,000 great worlds, and then wage war on the primordial emperor domain, Misty Immortal Court, Ling Mountain, and other extraordinary domains. Truly arrogant, yet there are many forces that support him, and several emperor clans in the primordial emperor domain want to recruit him and absorb his bloodline. The unbeaten emperor ancestor clicked his tongue in amazement and looked at Guan, asking, "In the celestial spirit great world, is there anyone who can oppose him?" He wanted to ask about Wuxia disciple, but didn't want to be too direct. In his view, the celestial spirit great world was not strong, it was Wuxia who was strong. In terms of talent, indeed there are those who can outshine him, but if he arrives, no one will be able to stop him. Guan replied with a smile. He wasn't speaking frivolously, as this was something destined to happen. Emperor Xin was meant to become a legendary myth. The reason for his widespread conquest was because he had heard tales of his own legend. Unlike those tragic hero stories, Emperor Xian's life was smooth and successful. He would sweep through the heavens, sealing himself a god with supreme glory, becoming part of the immortal class, and in the era of Ji, legend has it that Emperor Xian ushered a brilliant golden age. Looking at it now, Guan saw even more. The reason for Emperor Xian's success was because he had an extraordinary existence supporting him. The Son of Heaven Tai Shang, now the ruler of the Celestial Court. Indeed, Emperor Xian has grown up now. The unbeaten emperor ancestor remarked with admiration, and at the same time, he secretly respected Guan's magnanimity. It was clear from Guan's words that he was not planning to suppress Emperor Xian. The two continued their conversation, turning to the topic of the primordial emperor domain. Recently, the undefeated emperor clan was also facing troubles, and in the primordial emperor domain, there were many emperor clans. Since previously suffering a setback on the path of the Great Tao, the status of the undefeated Emperor clan had been declining. His visit this time wasn't just to see the Emperor clan staying in the celestial spirit great world but more importantly to seek help. In the past tens of millions of years, he considered his performance fairly satisfactory, so he mustered the courage to come. After he finished speaking, Guan said, "I cannot help you directly as that would violate the heavenly Tao. The current repercussions for the undefeated Emperor clan result from your improper conduct, so this is a hardship you must endure. However, I can give you hope. Wait for several million more years, and I will grant the undefeated Emperor clan a spot to ascend to immortality. But this spot has a threshold and the person must satisfy me." Hearing the first half of Guan's words, the unbeaten Emperor ancestor felt despondent, but upon hearing the latter part, he became overjoyed. Ascend to immortality. Even in the primordial Emperor domain, the pursuit of an immortal position is sought after. But the threshold of the celestial court is extremely high. At most, they can nominate a clansman to participate in the celestial army selection. Treading the heavenly ascension stairs is exceedingly difficult, nearly impossible. Suppressing his joy, the unbeaten Emperor ancestor asked, "May I ask of which tier is the immortal position?" Guan replied, "At least a star monarch. As for the specific immortal position, it depends on one's own fortune." Star monarch. The unbeaten Emperor ancestor's eyes widened, his breath becoming rapid. Once, a star monarch descended to the primordial Emperor domain, and even ancient existences with higher cultivation levels than this star monarch were forced to kneel. That scene remains unforgettable to him. Heavenly court immortals are immortal, and this is their confidence when facing stronger forces. For immortal gods, cultivation level doesn't seem as important, such as the power of the celestial court. If the undefeated Emperor clan were to bear a star monarch, it would truly soar to unprecedented heights, surpassing even its peak period. Their conversation aroused more curiosity among the surrounding people, who frequently glanced at Guan, discovering they couldn't see his true form, which surprised them secretly. With such a grand tone, could this person be one of Wuxi's first 5 generations of disciples? Guan stood up and smiled, "We've had our drink, accompany me for a walk. Together, see what the 9-spirit continent looks like now and offer your insights." The unbeaten Emperor ancestor hurriedly rose and followed Guan out of the inn. His emotions were uncontrollable, the smile on his face impossible to suppress. Sia the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 842. Guan and the unbeaten Emperor ancestor rode the clouds forward, admiring the scenery along the way. The unbeaten Emperor ancestor praised everything about the 9-spirit continent. "What if the person you choose is completely inclined towards the celestial court?" Guan suddenly asked. The unbeaten Emperor ancestor replied without hesitation, "Impossible, I would never choose such descendants." Walking from the inn to this place, he had already constructed a series of plans in his mind. After reclaiming his position as the heavenly court star lord, his next target was the celestial court. He feared the power of the heavenly court immortals, craved the heavenly court immortals' authority, but would never forget his hatred. His wife and child died at the hands of the heavenly court immortals, and until now he hasn't been able to avenge them. In the long years that passed, he almost gave up. Facing the unshakable celestial court, he had not a single chance for revenge, especially as the undefeated Emperor clan passed down through generations. He dared not make a move against the heavenly court immortals. Back then, he submitted to Guan not just because he resented the celestial court but because living on was the only way to protect his family. Now, Guan offered him a chance as star monarch. He not only saw hope for the clan's prosperity but also the possibility of vengeance. Countless years have passed, and that celestial god must have climbed to an even higher immortal position. He wished to investigate from outside. It was almost impossible. If an associate could infiltrate the celestial court, it would be much easier. The undefeated Emperor clan cannot seek vengeance against the immortals, but there must be strife among the immortals themselves. The seed of hatred sprouted once more in the unbeaten Emperor ancestor's heart, and this time, it was not just anger but unprecedented excitement. A hatred suppressed for countless years. Besides, he saw more. That was the relationship between Guan and the celestial court. Tens of millions of years ago, Guan clearly had an unknown conflict with the celestial court, but now, Guan could intervene in the immortal position, leading to many associations regarding Guan's true identity. Guan could perceive the psychological activities of the unbeaten emperor ancestor but did not point them out, only sighing inwardly. Even though the unbeaten emperor ancestor possessed the immortal emperor's eye, he could not see through the terrifying nature of the heavenly Tao. The human heart is fragile in the face of the heavenly Tao. After that, Guan spoke no more, shifting the topic to the cities along the way. Guan had his own considerations in wanting the undefeated emperor clan members to ascend to immortality because he saw that the clan would give birth to a second pair of immortal emperor's eyes. Why the immortal emperor's eyes were dreaded by the celestial court, Guan still couldn't discern, because the cause and effect of the immortal emperor's eyes had been severed, leaving no trace within the celestial court. 8 million years later, the human world acquired a new visage, the son of heaven and earth, Guan Tianyu of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, fully matured. Although a profound Yuan-free immortal, he could challenge a Luotian-free immortal without defeat, shaking the universe. The name Guan Tianyu spread throughout the land, even Qi cultivation realm cultivators discussing his might. In the eyes of the world, Guan Tianyu was already number one. However, the good times did not last long, as the celestial spirit great world received an unexpected guest. It was none other than Emperor Xin, who combined the Taoist Emperor and Primordial Tao Emperor titles, arriving through the world gate, with the celestial spirit god not obstructing him. If he infiltrated the celestial spirit great world, he would be captured and exterminated by the celestial spirit god. Emperor Xin called out to the entire celestial spirit great world, attracting all the great cultivators to battle in outer heaven. The Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, as the heavenly sovereign, naturally led, but unfortunately news of consecutive defeats reached within the universe, causing all living beings great unease. If such a formidable existence was to invade the celestial spirit great world, it would spell an apocalypse? In the summer of this year. Search * the Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At the foot of the heavenly suppressing heroic peak, the son of heaven Jieyan was meditating and cultivating, a skeleton still by his side, just it became more natural than before, showing no signs of having been shattered, and was identical in posture to him. Now the human world no longer paid attention to him, including the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, which, ever since Guan Tianyu matured, completely ceased to surveil him. Boom! A deafening roar came from the sky. The son of heaven Jieyan looked up to see a golden rainbow light appeared in the celestial vault, akin to a dandelion in bloom, followed by a meteor wrapped in fiery flames streaking across the celestial vault, falling beyond the horizon. Master, what's happening in outer heaven? Why doesn't it settle down? A voice came from beside him, the talking skeleton, its voice identical to the cloth-clad youth back then. The son of heaven Jieyan replied, "It's just people in combat, don't worry, the heavens won't collapse." Is it that self-proclaimed Emperor Xin fighting? Yes. It's been so long he hasn't been defeated yet? Master, will it be your turn to fight one day? You are the son of heaven, you must be the strongest in the world. If I was the strongest, I wouldn't be suppressed here. That Emperor Xin is indeed powerful. I can't defeat him, at most remain undefeated. The son of heaven Jieyan's response made the skeleton lift its head, seemingly surprised by this answer. Afterwards, the son of heaven Jieyan closed his eyes again and said, "All right, work hard in cultivation and transform early. It'll take you to see the human world and help address your regrets." The skeleton murmured, "I've died countless years ago, further regrets hold no meaning." The son of heaven Jieyan did not respond, continuing with his cultivation. The battle outside continued. The celestial spirit great world did not besiege Emperor Xin, since Emperor Xin sparred without taking his opponent's lives, preventing the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance from acting recklessly. Yet as one renowned great cultivator after another was defeated, the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance grew anxious. Would they truly let an outsider sweep the celestial spirit great world? They had to call upon Guan Tianyu to take action. Guan Tianyu was indeed strong, giving Emperor Xin significant trouble. He was the longest-lasting opponent in this realm. Unfortunately, he ultimately succumbed. The Luotian free immortals of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance could no longer hold back and went into battle. The news of Guan Tianyu's defeat spread to the human world, causing an uproar. The campaigns of Emperor Xin were unending. Within years he claimed 1,000 victories, showcasing an unmatched victory stance. In the dim cosmos, Emperor Xin stood proudly in the void, donning a silver battle armor, with 2 long sashes swirling about his waist and back. Behind the menacing helmet were 2 golden crescent moons hovering. His face was handsome, his gaze cold and indifferent, an inseparable air of arrogance exuding. With furrowed eyebrows, he scanned the surroundings, seeing all cultivators and great demons baring their teeth at him, their eyes filled with dread. Is there no stronger presence in the celestial spirit great world? Emperor Xian shouted loudly, his voice like thunder, echoing endlessly, resounding in the ears of all celestial spirit beings. Ji Xiaoyu stood amidst the sea of heavenly spirit Tao Alliance people, quietly watching Emperor Xian. As an innate golden immortal, she did not intend to fight. She could see that although Emperor Xian was arrogant, he was not a great evil person. She did not wish to reveal her true power for the sake of such an individual. Why not? If you really think you're strong, go challenge Wuxia. The true powerful entities of the celestial spirit great world are hidden within the beginningless. A middle-aged cultivator couldn't help himself, shouting angrily. Upon hearing this, the alliance hierarchs of the heavenly spirit Tao Alliance all frowned, but many more living beings echoed his sentiment, using Wuxia to provoke Emperor Xian. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 843, Arrogant and Unrivaled, Beginningless. Emperor Xian raised an eyebrow, silently muttering this name. Instinctively he calculated with his fingers, but unfortunately he couldn't deduce any cause and effect related to Wuxia, which piqued his interest. He turned his gaze toward the celestial spirit great world, his divine sense sweeping through. Only one place remained obscure, it must be the hiding spot of Wuxia. If that's the case, then I shall challenge Wuxia. Emperor Xian stepped towards the celestial spirit great world, and his words caused the faces of the gathered great powers to change drastically, yet no one hindered him. Firstly, they couldn't stop him, secondly, they hoped Wuxia could suppress Emperor Xian's arrogance. Ji Xiaoyu hesitated for a moment in the crowd but ultimately did not step forward. Emperor Xian's venture would at most disturb Brother Gu, who after all seemed quite idle. Thinking of this, Ji Xiaoyu's lips curled up, showing some anticipation. At the same time, people started to follow Emperor Xian's footsteps to watch the battle. Someone took the lead, followed by more people, and soon the cultivators from outer heaven formed a long line, trailing Emperor Xian. They had absolute confidence in Ancestor Master Wuxia, as he had never been defeated. The only suspense lay in how Emperor Xian would be defeated. On the other side, Guan was not within the Taoist field of the beginningless. He was in the middle of guiding Shaolan's cultivation. Currently, Shaolan also reached the heaven-encompassing free immortal realm, and in terms of cultivation level, she ranked among the top 5 in the celestial spirit great world. Of course, this did not include the immortal gods. Guan was not directly helping her become an innate golden immortal. Instead, he wanted her to mature a bit more and accumulate insights. It wasn't because he favored Ji Xiaoyu more, but Ji Xiaoyu's reincarnation experiences far exceeded those of Shaolan. The two stood in a forest, Shaolan raising her right hand, with a green lotus suspended above her palm, continuously emitting silvery threads, and the light it produced illuminated her face, highlighting her expressions of anticipation, anxiety, and joy. Guan stood beside her, watching with admiration and praised, condensing Tao into lotus, your thought Tao has achieved something. The thought Tao is the Tao of thoughts and ideas, distinct from the soul Tao but intricately connected to it. There must be a soul to have a mind, and with a mind comes endless thoughts. Cultivators comprehend the Tao with the 3,000 great Tao, but few choose to cultivate the thought Tao. Guan, although primarily focusing on the path of cause and effect and the path of power, has dabbled in the 3,000 great Tao, and even if he is not familiar, his perspective and insights into the thought Tao are enough to benefit Shaolan greatly. Without Brother Gu, how could I have such fortune? Shaolan looked up at Guan, speaking with a bright smile. In the Shao family she was the supreme and revered ancestor, but in front of Guan she was always the younger sister. Memories of past and present lives merged without erasing her original colors, even fostering a new self. Shaolan withdrew her hand and dispersed the green lotus within it. She turned to Guan and curiously asked, "You should have heard the conversation from outer heaven. That Emperor Xian is about to challenge Wuxia. Aren't you returning?" Guan shook his head, chuckling, "A trivial Emperor Xian still requires my intervention? Oh, is there a disciple within the beginningless more formidable than Emperor Xian?" Shaolan grew more curious. Guan smiled silently then followed up, "Since you don't want to practice anymore, take me for a walk. Your Shao family has truly grown larger, its reputation has even spread to the 9 spirit continent." Shaolan hugged Guan's arm and responded, Large it is, but problems have also increased with emotions and reasons entangled. Sometimes it's truly hard to resolve. I gradually understand why you left the Supreme Sect. The two departed the forest while continuing their conversation. The Shao family is still just beginning. Compared to the ancient clans standing in the 3,000 great worlds, the Shao family is merely starting out. I left the Supreme Sect simply to change my environment, change my mood, and maybe one day I'll leave the celestial spirit great world. Guan comforted. Although the Shao family had various troubles, overall they had not gone astray. Currently, the Shao family had thousands of disciples, so it was inevitable that some evil individuals existed. Fortunately, the Shao family's laws were strict and didn't shelter evildoers, so Guan's impression of them remained decent. If you leave the celestial spirit great world, then I'll follow you. I have already served the Shao family well. Xiaolan spoke with a radiant smile, her tone filled with anticipation. She had traveled the path of the great Tao and knew that there was a vaster world beyond the heavens. Following Guan through the heavens would indeed be an unparalleled experience. Shooting stars streaked across the sky, a phenomenon of the great powers descending upon the mortal realm. Emperor Xian flew towards the nine-spirit continent, his divine sense enveloping the heavens and gaining a deeper understanding of the celestial spirit great world. Immortal gods, son of heaven, ancestor master Wuxia. This great thousand world is indeed fascinating. Emperor Xian's eyes burned with fighting spirit, eager for the upcoming battle. As he flew, he approached the vicinity of the nine-spirit continent. Below, a boundless ocean spread, with spirit mist surging at the horizon like a wall at the world's edge, mysterious and grand. Countless great power cultivators descended from the heavens, hovering in the distance, watching Emperor Xian's back, whispering amongst themselves. Two figures flew over from the other side of the heavens, one of them handsome and valiant. Though dressed in simple Taoist robes, his spirit was akin to a treasure sword emerging from its sheath, attracting attention. This person was the top prodigy of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, Guan Tianyu. After being defeated by Emperor Xian, Guan Tianyu returned to heal. Upon hearing Emperor Xian challenging Wuxia, he couldn't resist coming to watch. Alongside him was his master, ancestor Master Qingguang, one of the hierarchs of the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance. Master, will ancestor Master Wuxia show up? Guan Tianyu halted, gazing distantly at Emperor Xian's figure, voicing his inquiry. Though he had always stayed within the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, he held a curiosity regarding Wuxia. Having met disciples of Wuxia, their brilliance inspired him. Even though he had grown powerful, he didn't feel confident enough to challenge Wuxia, as the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance continuously advised, to be spirited but not arrogant, especially maintaining respect for Wuxia. As one senior hierarch noted, all living beings in the celestial spirit great world owe a debt to Wuxia. Ancestor Master Qingguang mused, it's unlikely that he will appear, but with Emperor Xian already at the doorstep of Wuxi's Tao sect, an entertaining show awaits us. Guan Tianyu was about to further inquire when suddenly, Emperor Xian's voice rang out, resounding stone-shattering. I am Emperor Xian, here to challenge Wuxia, regardless if it's ancestor Master Wuxia or Wuxia disciple. Come forth and face me. Let me see if the celestial spirit great world houses any true formidable ones. Emperor Xian's voice was filled with arrogance, and his disdainful tone towards all living beings roused anger among the spectators, who all glared furiously at him. No one insulted Emperor Xian verbally, as he had consistently proven himself through victories, establishing himself undeniably as a strong figure. SEA the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. For now, the cultivators anticipated Wuxi's response, yearning to see Emperor Xian defeated. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 844. Myriad dragons ascending to heaven. Emperor Xian's voice echoed throughout the nine-spirit continent, capturing the attention of all living beings within it. Years ago, the news of Emperor Xian challenging the celestial spirit great world had spread within the beginningless. Many were curious if Emperor Xian would eventually battle at the gates of the Wuxia sect, and to their surprise he indeed came. This indicated that even the great cultivators of the celestial spirit great world couldn't stop him. Within the continent, those cultivators in seclusion came out one after another, and more living beings gathered in the direction from where the voice came. Emperor Xian stood proudly in the sky, his long scarf fluttering like a dragon. Behind his head, two golden crescent moons shimmered with dazzling golden light. With each flash, the two golden moons grew larger, and his aura intensified accordingly. The ocean began to surge, waves overlapping, thunderclouds gathered above, and faint thunder roared. The spirit mist surrounding the nine-spirit continent also started to surge violently, as if ready to sweep towards the celestial vault, shaking the skies. Guan Tianyu watched Emperor Shen's back with furrowed brows, sensing an incredibly terrifying aura, realizing Emperor Shen hadn't been serious with him. Could it be that this number one prodigy under heaven is truly no match for the prodigies on the path of the Great Tao? Guan Tianyu felt angry inside, not losing his fighting spirit, but thinking about how to win next time. As Emperor Shen's aura continued to rise, the rules of heaven and earth were affected, fierce winds arose, seas churned, and the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance didn't just watch idly. They dispersed and formed a large array to prevent Emperor Shen's aura from affecting various regions of the human world. Emperor Shen's gaze was fixed on the nine-spirit continent, unable to penetrate the patch of spirit mist, making him anticipate the upcoming battle even more. He wasn't afraid of his opponent being too strong, only of the opponent not being strong enough. Currently, no one in the celestial spirit great world could satisfy him. As his gaze follows, a section of spirit mist on the edge of the nine-spirit continent began to contract inward, as if a door was slowly opening. More and more gazes and divine senses focused on that patch of spirit mist. As the spirit mist parted, a cliff was revealed. On the cliff stood countless cultivators, men and women, numbering in the thousands. The one at the front was Nzizai. Zhuang Xian, Su Han, Duan Li Zhenqin, and others stood behind Nzizai, with other disciples lined up behind them, all eyes locked on Emperor Shen. None of the Wuxia disciples' faces showed fear, instead displaying expressions of mockery, curiosity, and indifference. The great cultivators in the realm were seeing so many Wuxia disciples in one place for the first time. Each disciple possessed extraordinary grace, and their cultivation level was startling. Although many Wuxia disciples were below the level of free immortal, there were also numerous Taoist Zhangzizai immortals, profound Yuan free immortals, and even several heaven-encompassing free immortals. Sir, the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The foundation of the beginningless was revealed all at once. Those long-lived beings noticed that no second-generation disciples appeared, sparking curiosity about the strength of the Wuxia sect. Thinking carefully, it had been many years since the second-generation disciples showed themselves. It's hard to imagine how strong they are now. Is that Emperor Shen? His aura is so strong. Senior brother, which master or uncle is willing to step in? Su Han stood alongside Nzizai, asking excitedly. He had never seen such a grand spectacle, with cultivators and great demons watching from all directions, giving a sense that the world was paying attention. Guan wasn't present, so Su Han thought a second-generation disciple should step in. He had seen some of them, each with unfathomable cultivation. He even felt that his own master might be the weakest. To deal with this person, why bother our elders? Nzizai stated calmly. After speaking, he took a step forward, stopping at the edge of the cliff, standing against the wind. Emperor Shen's gaze involuntarily fell on Nzizai. He marveled at the complexity of the Wuxia sect, while Nzizai gave him a very powerful impression. I am the third-generation head disciple of the beginningless, Nzizai. Since fellow Taoist wants to fight, I will oblige. Nzizai's voice resounded beneath the thunderclouds, clearly heard by all. Many great cultivators had interacted with Nzizai, though they weren't sure how strong he truly was. Today, hearing Nzizai's willingness to fight, they perked up and began to anticipate. No one dared doubt the foundation of the beginningless. As the third-generation head disciple, Nzizai often traveled among the sects under the heavens, being the most familiar Wuxia disciple to the various sects under the heavens. But until now, Nzizai hadn't fought anyone, at least they hadn't seen or heard of it. I hope the beginningless will not disappoint me. Emperor Shen's voice was overwhelmingly proud, filled with immense confidence. As his words fell, he stepped toward the nine-spirit continent. The world suddenly darkened, thunderclouds erupted with countless lightning bolts, all intertwining with the two crescent moons behind him. At a glance, it seemed as if he had grown a pair of gigantic lightning wings, spectacular and unparalleled. As he approached the nine-spirit continent, his aura grew even stronger, each step stronger than the last. The world darkened, terrifying waves surged like the end of the world. The fierce wind came roaring at Nzizai, yet he stood immovable like Mount Tai. Su Han watched Nzizai's back, eyes wide. It was the first time he felt Nzizai's strength. Not only him but the younger generation like Zhuangxian and Duanli were equally inspired, anticipating Nzizai's might. Not only were the various sects under heaven curious about Nzizai's strength, the Wuxia sect itself was equally curious. As Emperor Xian got closer to the nine-spirit continent, more and more living beings came to watch. Amidst the dark celestial sea, Emperor Xian became the most dazzling presence. Yet the Wuxia disciples standing on the cliff of the continent also exhibited a fierce courage that made it hard for any living being to judge who would win. If it were the ancestor Master Wuxia himself, Emperor Xian would be undoubtedly defeated. But now, with Nzizai stepping up, none among the viewers dared to make light judgments. Emperor Xian's gaze remained fixed on Nzizai, and Nzizai likewise focused on him. As their gaze confrontation extended, Emperor Xian's battle intent continued to grow, with his aura strengthening accordingly. The destinies of the primordial Tao Emperor and the Taoist Emperor infused into the two golden crescent moons, energizing his entire being with two completely different types of aura flames. Suddenly, Emperor Xian stepped again, his figure vanished into thin air, with the sky full of lightning paused above the vast sea. And Nzizai's eyes sharpened, striking upward with his right palm, his hand twisting at the wrist, striking forward with a sky-pushing gesture. Boom! Emperor Xian materialized in the air above Nzizai, less than 100 yards apart, two immensely powerful forces of mana clashing, scattering the surging spirit mist and revealing the towering mountains of the nine-spirit continent. In an instant, Emperor Xian's brows furrowed suddenly. Before he could react, intense light burst from the roiling ocean, illuminating the world as silver dragons leaped from the sea, crashing into Emperor Xian. Despite using mana to block, he was pushed up towards the celestial vault. Endless silver dragons continued to leap from the sea, charging forward recklessly, relentlessly tearing at Emperor Xian's mana, counting sidestimble the multitudinous dragons. Emperor Xian gritted his teeth, intent on unleashing divine skills, only to find an unmovable suppressive force enveloping him, unable to teleport, leaving him to withstand with mana alone. In a blink, he was hurled through the celestial Tao light layer into the outer void, his mana fully depleted, unable to recover fast enough to sustain his expenditure. A giant dragon far larger than the rest emerged from the celestial Tao light layer, its dragon head alone equivalent to half the size of the celestial spirit great world, its mouth opening wide to swallow him whole. Deafening silvery dragon roars echoed in his ears, assailing his mind. How is this possible? Emperor Xian's eyes widened, his heart roaring in fury, and he was immediately engulfed in vast silver light. Su Han, witnessing Nzizai's back, asked wide-eyed, "What divine skill is this?" Standing in front of him, Nzizai didn't turn back but spoke calmly, "Myriad Supreme Palm, Second Palm, Myriad Dragons Ascending to Heaven. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 845. The Change of the Future. Myriad Supreme Palm. The Second Palm. Myriad Dragons Ascending to Heaven. Su Han felt a surge of emotions upon hearing this. He had heard of the Myriad Supreme Palm, which was said to have been passed down from their ancestor to the eldest disciple. Nobody else within the beginningless knew it, and it was said that the ancestor once said that mastering the Myriad Supreme Palm allows one to be invincible across all heavens. There were many such claims. The beginningless had too many secret skills, so Su Han had never believed it before. But seeing it today, he believed and was even moved. He wanted to learn this skill. It wasn't just him. Other disciples of beginningless were also excitedly looking at the celestial vault. The silver light covering the sky robbed the world of color, while silver dragons continuously surged from the ocean before them, soaring upwards towards outer heaven. Myriad dragons ascending to heaven, the so-called dragons were dragon chi of the great Tao, constantly emerging and crashing into Emperor Xian, devouring his mana. The celestial Tao light layer of the celestial spirit great world was pierced through, with a silver light arc appearing from heaven to the depths of the universe, incredibly magnificent. That was the trace of the myriad dragon's sweep. Once the arc ceased to extend, Emperor Xian's aura weakened significantly. He flew out from the vast silver light, covered in blood, hair disheveled, in extreme disarray. The two golden crescents attached to his chest dimmed considerably. This scene was caught by countless great cultivators. After a brief silence, a commotion erupted among the great cultivators above the ocean. Such an overbearing divine skill. To solve Emperor Xian in just one move? What kind of cultivation level does this Nzizai possess? Could it be the mythical innate golden immortal realm? CTH novel F. Ire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. No, I can feel his aura is still within the heaven-encompassing free immortal realm, but he is the primordial Tao Emperor. Carrying the destiny of both the primordial Tao Emperor and Taoist Emperor, yet unable to surpass the primordial Tao Emperor? Beginningless truly hides dragons and crouches tigers. Hearing the discussions all around, Ji Xiaoyu also had a look of surprise on her face. She knew the second-generation disciples of the Beginningless were strong, and perhaps even hid innate golden immortals, but she didn't expect even the third-generation disciples to be this powerful. Indeed, that fellow, though lazy, became incredibly strong through daily cultivation together. Guan Tianyu was equally shocked. He had battled Emperor Xian, whose profoundness once filled him with despair. He never expected such a powerful Emperor Xian to be so easily defeated by Nzizai. He had seen Nzizai before when he visited the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance, and many alliance hierarchs had personally welcomed him. But at the time he only marveled at the supreme status of Beginningless, not thinking Nzizai was particularly powerful. Now, as he gazed from afar, Nzizai stood on the cliff edge of the Nine-Spirit Continent, facing the wild wind, a stance that gave him immense shock. Is this the Beginningless? Guan Tianyu suddenly felt that Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance was just SOSO, and perhaps even the so-called Celestial Court couldn't compare to the Beginningless. Truly terrifying, among the third-generation disciples of Beginningless, many have extraordinary talents, and the future disciples also have exceptional gifts, but none can shake his position, his master, the ancestor of green light, said with genuine admiration. Everyone marveled at Nzizai's strength, while some rushed to outer heaven to check on Emperor Xian. In the depths of the universe, before the world gate, the celestial spirit god Tian Hao and Tai immortal monarch stood side by side, witnessing Nzizai's strike. Myriad supreme palm, what powerful creation, those dragons are all the power of the great Tao, Tai immortal monarch praised. He had interacted with Nzizai many times and had long realized this child was no ordinary, so today's display didn't surprise him too much. Tian Hao's eyes were also full of admiration. This disciple of Beginningless, surnamed In, was his sister Nzin's eldest disciple, and he naturally regarded him as his own. Upon returning, he wondered if he should teach Nzizai, but upon reconsideration, knowing Nzizai cultivated under their master, he would surely be outstanding. Indeed, the strength of the myriad supreme palm made even him want to learn it. The celestial spirit god spoke, "This Emperor Xian is not simple, with a cause and effect of the heavenly Tao behind him." Tai immortal monarch scoffed, "With such arrogance, he must have something to rely on." Elsewhere, Guan and Xiaolan arrived at the Xiao family city, where Xiaolan had also witnessed Nzizai's move. "Such an overbearing divine skill, did you teach it?" Xiaolan curiously asked. Guan smiled, "I created it, 7 palms in total, and this is just the second. Can you teach me?" "No, only disciples in charge can cultivate it." Guan rarely refused, as he intended to make the myriad supreme palm the hallmark secret skill of the Beginningless. Though a bit disappointed, Xiaolan didn't pester him. She then asked, "What is the origin of this Emperor Xian? What if Nzizai accidentally kills him?" Guan replied meaningfully, "He has significant backing. A powerful cause and effect were ready to fall upon Emperor Xian to help him recover, but unfortunately, it was invisibly neutralized by Guan. This cause and effect came from the Tai Shang. Tai Shang can alter the destiny of all heavens. Emperor Xian challenging the Beginningless had already caused changes in the future, staining his undefeated path. However, Guan saw Tai Shang corrected the future, preventing the news of Emperor Xian's defeat from spreading. The duel between Emperor Xian and Nzizai also sowed seeds of calamity between Guan and Tai Shang, officially bringing the celestial spirit great world into Tai Shang's view. Guan was unfazed. Though Tai Shang was strong, the only true contender was the Celestial Emperor. Currently, Tai Shang is managing the Celestial Court, with many tasks requiring his attention, leaving him unable to focus on the Celestial Spirit Great World. Emperor Xian was merely his pawn. However, sometimes pawns escape the chessboard. This Emperor Xian not only had extraordinary talent but also harbored immense ambition. The all heavens and myriad realms were like a prison, countless pieces looking up at Sangtian, seeking not only the position of immortal gods but also the strongest throne of the Celestial Emperor. "Brother Gu, tell me about the geniuses from other great worlds, are there any not inferior to Emperor Xian?" Xiaolan suddenly asked, her face full of expectation. Although she now stayed with the Xiao family, she had always had the heart of a strong person. Had she not failed in achieving Taoist emperor, she wouldn't have chosen to settle. Of course there are. Guan began to recount the geniuses he had observed. Emperor Xian was indeed formidable, but to call him the first of the heavenly Tao underestimated it. The heavenly Tao was vast, with countless great worlds and powerful domains, and geniuses were as numerous as stars in the sky. Guan occasionally observed other worlds, finding many talents catching his attention. In the days that followed, the news of Emperor Xian's crushing defeat by a third-generation disciple of the beginningless swept the world, and the name of Nzazai and the myriad supreme palm also spread to all cultivators' ears. On that day, Nzazai's answer to Suhan was heard by many great cultivators, spreading the name of the myriad supreme palm, with some even claiming it as the top secret skill in the celestial spirit, and for a time, Nzazai even gained renown as the world's #1. Meanwhile, the defeated Emperor Xian quietly retreated, and the Heavenly Spirit Tao Alliance did not trouble him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible.